Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J is live. We in the building, ready to have an outstanding show. I usually will tease it at this stage of the show. Sometimes I'll tease it, and sometimes I don't tease it. Tonight, the tease is we're going to talk about some stuff, and you haven't heard us talk about some stuff in like 2 weeks. And the stuff we're going to talk about, y'all going to want to comment on it. And that's the stuff we're going to talk about. Flagship show, Legacy Net Radio, where we talk about stuff is live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den. Legacy in that radio. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be a part of the flagship show. Heard live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody who's rocking with us tonight. Special thank you to our brother Julius, who's checking out the show already. He says, peace to the family, peace to the brother and the homie and the OG Tim Casey. He says he's got the mad scientist Jerry Joe Reno on the intro, and that is an absolute fact. My brother and yours. Appreciate you, Jerry Joe Reno and our brother Tim Casey. Thank you to the crew and everybody who's watching and listening right now. We appreciate those folks checking us out on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. Those folks checking us out on the archives. It's because y'all continue to rock with us. That's why we roll with y'all. So let's get these salutations in so we can talk about what we here to talk about. Hey man, you ain't heard this brother in 2 weeks. I seen him because he's my brother. I'm always gonna see him. Just because y'all don't see him doesn't mean I don't look across the room from time to time, even when the mics aren't on, and see and hang out with my brother John. What it do, homie? How you doing, man? How's your day so far? You good? You good?
My day is filled with grace
Yeah,
and extraordinary,
yeah.
and I'm exceptionally well.
Exceptionally well. That means well, but like the little dots like on math class where they put the little circle next to the number, that means it's bigger. That's his well.
Yeah, my well. The way my grace and my well is set up,
Yeah.
it's a lot different than ordinary. It's
Yeah.
extraordinary.
It's extraordinary. So is there like a word for extraordinary? Like, are we just supposed
Yeah,
to
it's
say
my
it?
life.
My man. See, I try to clown, but this is the grace and the love that this man is feeling. That's why I rocks with him, man. He is an eternal optimist, and I gotta feel it because I be in a shitty mood most of the time.
Yeah, but you know what?
I'm a grump,
It
man.
ain't really
I'm a grump.
it ain't really optimism. It is the proof, right? I don't deal with, and that's why a lot of religious people be having beef with me, because I don't deal with faith. I deal with proof,
Yeah, show and prove.
right? I commune every single day with God. I know God. I don't believe in God. I know God.
Yeah,
And that knowledge is what allows me to understand how incredible my life is.
I can dig it, brother. I
You
can
know?
I can dig that, man. I'm glad that you have such peace with it. That level of peace is a level of peace that has not been attained by many. So I appreciate you. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. So it's always better when she's here. You cool and
Isn't it
everything.
dope?
You cool and everything, John. But it's always better when she's here. And she's co-host of the show. She sits on my right side because she is my right hand. Peace and love to our sister Steph B. Yeah.
Always
Say
forward.
she said it. Yeah.
Hello, gentlemen.
What's up, Steph?
It's good
Hey,
to see you. Good
beautiful.
to see you. Look at John.
Yeah, man.
You would think that John wants something from me, and he doesn't.
Nah, he just want
He's
to love
just
you,
so
man.
good.
He
I
just
love
want-
him.
just
only
wanna love
want
you,
I only
man.
want you of you.
Is John trying to get a date? I mean, what's happening?
I
He
don't
trying
know.
to show the ladies how smooth he
John
is.
is
I'm about to
trying
watch this play out.
I
John,
know.
John
Me
is trying to
too.
make sure that you always know how appreciated you are
Yeah.
and how extra special and extraordinary you are.
I love you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. You
Love
know
you
what?
right back.
It's
Yeah.
important because people don't say those kinds of things
Yeah.
to you all the time.
Yeah.
You might get bashful through
Yeah.
words and like that,
Yeah.
but the fact of the matter is most people need a good word and don't get it.
Absolutely. You know what I'm gonna tell you about that. I had commune with friends this weekend, and one in particular in a conversation that we were having, and what's funny about that ringer? Of course, I'm gonna call it out. I have to stop my thought just to call it out. That is the same ringer on my work phone. So I totally just had a whole moment just now when I heard it. You completely, absolutely triggered me.
I got an iPhone and I want everyone to know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the sound,
Stop.
and I swear I hate that sound with the kind of passion that like war-torn countries have passion for the country that's bombing them.
Right,
That's the kind of
that's it.
hate that I got for that
It's like the
that particular
siren.
ringer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
The
anyway,
worst part is my laptop was doing the ringing, and I turned my phone off.
it's all
But
good,
everything
man.
is connected.
You know I'm
I'm
a pick
sorry.
on. Yeah, we good. It just gave me an opportunity to pick on you. But as far as what I was gonna say is, I had a conversation with somebody that I know earlier in the weekend, and I think that it's important, particularly for men, and it's twofold here, and men this is to you. We're talking to the brothers here, right?
Brothers.
How you relate to your brothers is important. And you need to show care and kindness towards them. You know what I mean? And let him know that that's your man. You rocks with him. Tell him you love him. John and me, we say that shit all the time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's just how we are. And I think that's important. I've always said on this show that one of the most important things that a black man, and you can pull color out if you want to. I'm talking to black men. One of the most important things that a black man can do for another black man is to tell him that he loves him, that he cares about him, that he wants him to be okay, and have no qualifications. That's just what it is, right? But the flip side of that is one of the most important things that a black man can do for a black woman, particularly the ones that he's not in relationship with, because the one he's in relationship with, it's a whole different ball game. But the ones that maybe he's friends with, maybe he has platonic relationship with, maybe he knows in passing, it's very important for him to communicate with her in a way, in a tender manner, where she understands that he don't want nothing from her. He just wants her to understand that he fucks with her. Like, I fucks with you. Like, I appreciate you. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate when you come in the room, immediately the energy changes. Immediately we both get excited. You know what I mean? It's cool when we hang out. It's better when you here. And so it's that kind of logic that I think it's important
I love
that
you for
we
that.
as men
I do.
explain.
I really do.
Explain.
Well, you know, I have my opinions.
I do.
Right?
I do, and I know.
And I think that a lot of times people assume that my perspective on certain things happening within the community between black women and men means that I don't have any favor in my heart for black men. That my thing is, I just want everybody doing better, and I like accountability, and accountability is lacking for a lot of people. And so when you say things like that, and we spend enough time around one another, it is a demonstration that I know you well enough to know you're not just going to throw empty words out there. And it's a demonstration that I've done the work of being worthy of your space and John's space as well. And it lets people know I appreciate you enough that you want to say that. My energy changes because of what you offer when I come in the room. But because of my strong opinions and the fact that I identify as womanist, a lot of times people will assume what that means about my love and willingness to engage with black men. I'm good with black men. I'm not good with unaccountable men. And it just so happens that accountability is something we are struggling with in this community. And therefore, the verbiage and language don't line up right for everybody. But I, hit dogs holler, and I don't sit in the room with any hit dogs. So I appreciate you for saying that, truly. But at the end of the day, it is a need. It's symbiotic and it's synergistic. We feed off of one another, and you can't have this kind of energy in the room without the compelling energy, the thing that draws it out. So I love you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Absolutely love you too. Absolutely love John too. Our brother Julius is saying, I tell my brothers I love them all the time. Facts. And I love you, Julius, and I appreciate you sharing that, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's just important, man. I struggle with, as I've gotten older, I've become more emotional. Those folks who know me, you guys have come into my life in my 40s. And so uh I've been transitioning in spirit. I remember when I went to the eye doctor. I'm 48 now, by the way, and Steph has a birthday coming soon. And I'm 48 now.
Just blow that up. Just blow that right up. Just like a brother. That was some real brotherly.
Oh, I'm
right
absolutely going to say more about that before the end of the show. Make no mistake. And she got a birthday coming between now and the next show. Are you kidding? Yes. Yes. I got that right, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You did. Absolutely.
You know, my
agenda. Hold on. What we doing?
Hold on. We'll come back.
Right?
We'll come back. My eye doctor told me in my 44th year, January. My birthday's in June. So I'm 44 before I turn 45. And she told me not only were my eyes going to change, but my life would by the next time I come see her next January. You know what I mean? And she's always been like that. I've been seeing her for like 10 years. And, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams, who was a sponsor of this show. Absolutely. So if you got issues with your eyes and you need to have them checked or you need to get glasses, I need you to Google right here in Richmond, Virginia, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams.
She almost got 5 stars on health grades too.
She told me she was like, not only your eyes gonna change, but you gonna change. And it was just like, like all young folks when they hear something from an elder, you just like, hey, all right, even us young folks who are now elders, we still look at elders sometimes and be like, yeah, all right, until what they tell you actually happens. And then you sitting there with the dumb face on, like, I guess he was right, And so I've gotten to a point now, John, where it has become increasingly important to me to share some love, which you are actually getting. We're getting some love. Let's see. We're getting some love from Natasha Payne. She says, what up, John? Glad to see you doing your thing. So, Natasha, thank you for rocking with us. And John,
I
more
want to say
specifically,
something real quick.
Please do, John. Go ahead.
To Natasha. Hello, you beautiful, amazing woman. How are you? I can't even get into how amazing this woman is and her story and her life and how much she has inspired people around her. And even through like adversity and like, she and I were not extraordinarily close, but we had shared, interests in lifestyles. And even through some of the horrors, I mean, we both experienced, her energy was always so incredibly good, right? Just energy that something always just made people, flock to her. And in her life right now, where she's at in her life, and I follow her on social media. I mean, I feel so much pride and just joy and happiness for her. It's incredible that she's here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for that message. I love you. I mean it. And keep up all your wonderful works in your life. Appreciate you.
That was a very, very heartfelt response, John. I'm humbled by that. And sister, just off of the strength of our brother being so fond of you, I share those sentiments, and I think I can speak for Steppin in the same. So thank you for listening and sharing and fellowshipping with us. And we're in the early stage of the show now, where we're just kind of shooting the breeze and getting warmed up. It's the first time that the three of us have been together in about 2 weeks, and so we're just catching up with one another and kind of figuring out how everybody's doing. But once we shift out of that space, you'll find, and not just you, but all of you guys will find that we'll kind of move into more I don't want to say controversial, but certainly more spirited fare tonight in our conversation. So y'all, I rocks with y'all continuously because y'all roll with us. So ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Day Legacy and that radio. Natasha says, thank you so much. I humbly appreciate that. We both have come so far. God is amazing. He gets all the glory. Blessings, brother. Love. And with a smiley face. So that's what's up, man. We're also getting some love from one of my favorite people in the history of my life. And I'm pretty confident that you guys are very fond of her as well. She is Legacy in that radio royalty, as well as alumni, as well as a part of this show. She is our legal eagle. Our sister Tamika Robinson is checking us out right now. So thank you for rocking with us tonight. Yeah, ain't no hashtag Marcus J live for New Day Legacy in the radio. Yeah, I'm. Hey, look, you know what else that everybody knows about me? I'm corny as hell. I'm like
in a very lovable
I'm one of the corniest cats and if you call me corny, I ain't care. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm corny.
Well, listen.
Please, I hit mama with a dad joke today. You know what she said to me, John? You know what mama said to me? What? She said, "Bye, daddy. Bye, bye, daddy. Bye."
It ain't cute no more.
Yo, with daughter base, bye, daddy. Bye, bye, bye. Like she shooed me. Like the dad joke was that bad.
Wait till the 20s come.
I don't even remember what I said.
When she get in her 20s and she
Oh
really be
my
like,
God,
"You still
John.
doing this?"
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I-
And
I-
Tamika says that I am so good. Shit, LOL, you are so corny. Ugh, is what she's saying
You can
Whatever.
see her doing it.
with the eye
That
roll.
face.
I'm sorry, John. What you got, bro?
Listen, all I know is this, right? From a guy who used to do radio ads just like that. Like this Saturday night at the Forum, BBD with special guest Bobby Brown. So for doing
That
stuff
is
like that, I
throwback.
know about corny, and you're not corny, bro. What you are is seasoned,
Is that what it is?
seasoned.
I bet you. I bet you if I jumped into my Wolfman Jack, I guess I'd be
Oh
corny
my, not
then.
Wolfman Jack.
You remember Wolfman Jack?
Yes, I'm
Are we
embarrassed.
dating?
Oh!
You're dating yourself.
We dating
Good thing the
ourselves?
audience is our age.
Hey, look. We dating because you know who he is. So I'm dating us.
All of us.
We gotta have
That's why I said I'm
all the
embarrassed.
positive energies into the radio station. to
Everybody
see
just is
that.
Wolfman
What did I
Jack.
get stuck with tonight?
Yeah, it's gonna be some shit. It's
We
gonna be
being
some
nice
shit.
Casey
because of the
Kasem,
topics
Wolfman
on
It's gonna be
Jack.
some
I
shit.
mean, we
It's
can
about
go.
as nice as we gonna
Yeah.
get tonight.
Well, we get ready to shift.
Like,
Rodney Brown,
We get ready to shift. You know, we're gonna have
West Coast.
yeah. We gonna shift. You know, we had our fun. We're gonna shift because we got a lot that we need to get to tonight, and it's that time. So normally we would do the moment in Black history at the end of the show. But this week we're gonna do the moment in history at the early part of the show. We're gonna
You
lead.
switching up on us?
I
man?
am.
I don't know if I'm prepared to deal with that
I'm
kind
yeah, as I learned this weekend, there's a lot of things that have switch ups going on. If you look around you, this switching up going on all around us. So
There's
I
a
figured,
king on the
so I
throne.
figured that's one of the switch ups. That's not the switch up that we getting ready to get into, but we are going to get into that switch up.
Y'all don't have
we
no
are
idea
absolutely
what it means.
we absolutely about to get into that switch up, but because that's not well, it's a moment in history, but it's a moment in present history. We'll talk about it. We're definitely gonna talk about that. But the moment in history we're going to do at the beginning of the show, as opposed to the end, is when we look at the calendar. Today is September 12th, which means yesterday was September 11th. And you guys are from Brooklyn, New York. I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey. And we had different experiences on September 11th, 2001. Every year we do this, or every year I want to do this on certain events: Martin Luther King Day, Malcolm X Day, things like that, 9/11. If there's a holiday, we want to talk about it. This is something that resonated with so many of us so strongly that I want to have some conversation around it and give our listeners an opportunity to reflect as well. And so I'll share last. We'll start with you, Steph, and then John will follow, and then I will follow. But what I'm looking for is I want to know about September 11th from Steph B's perspective, from John's perspective. So how I want to frame this part of the conversation. Let me stop turning my back to the camera. I want to talk to you, but I need to be present
Yeah,
for.
especially if you
I
don't
want to be
spin
present.
around without that
I
white
want
cat
to.
in your lap.
I
It's
want to
just not
be.
the
Yeah.
same
I want to
effect.
be. I want to be present for our viewers and listeners, but I want to be present for you as well, Steph. So I want to make sure that you see me engaged. I want to see that you see that I'm engaged with you. But here's the conversation. I want to know what time you woke up and how you found out it was going on, and then from there share whatever reflection you have. But I want very specifically to know about the immediate moment when you realized, oh shit. You know what I mean? I want your oh shit moment. So start with, whatever time you got up and get us there, and take us through the end of the day. And Steph, you'll go first, and then John, I want you to follow. I'll take us home with that.
Well, I'll keep it pretty brief, but I was actually at work when it happened. At the time, I was working on a college campus, and I was sitting in my office, and I lived in Florida, and so it's funny, but all the New Yorkers in the building knew one another closely. It'd be like, oh yeah, hey, you know. But immediately, like, people flooded into my office and were like, you need to turn your TV on. And I'm like, you know, what's the big deal? And they turned it on and I saw it. And interestingly enough, my dad was visiting us. And so he lived and works, you know, in New York. He at the time was still working in New York City. And he was visiting us. And so I called him. I was like, you know, are you seeing this on the news? And at that point, you know, only obviously the first plane had hit. Nothing else was really going on. And I really thought it was just that someone breached the airspace. I wasn't thinking, I don't, you know, we could now be like, why would we think that? But in that very short time, 25 years ago, yes, 21 years ago, excuse me. In that very short time, 21 years ago, look how much has changed. Now we might easily be like, oh my goodness, was it a terrorist attack? Back then, even though there had been the World Trade Center bombing in the past in the basement or whatever, it didn't really strike me as this was an intentional thing. I was like, why would somebody be flying there? You know, all of my mind was caught on that. And we were just standing there watching the TV. There were like 3 women in my office, and we, you know, they were sitting down and I was standing at my desk. And I was like, man, this is crazy. I said, well, we better get back to work, you know, because we have been, you know, standing there watching it. And I knew other offices, it was a college campus. There were TVs. I knew it would be somewhere before they could even walk out. The second plane hits. And I think that it just sucked the air out of the room, because then you knew it wasn't what you thought it was. And at that point, I just wanted to leave work. You know, I have family up there, and you know, and it just was like, this is crazy. And I think that day just became a culmination of things that just were more and more unbelievable. I think so unbelievable that now you still have people that doubt the situation and circumstance. That's how unbelievable that moment remains. When I look back on it now and I think about America in its current phase, I think about the fact that um, if we believe that the Saudis were the people that did this, why are we still so cozy and comfortable? I mean, we know why, but you know, we just came out of an administration with a guy who lied about, you know, being impacted, celebrated that his business was not going to be the tallest building, immediately went to criminalizing people who were Arab or of Arab descent. I mean, immediately. Oh, yeah, I could see them from here in Jersey City celebrating. I mean, that kind of thing. And then you come to today and how we are with the Saudis. You look at the fact that we have more domestic terrorism. We have to be more concerned about domestic terrorism. If you look at that now and then reflect on how everyone thought that was going to be the kumbaya moment, because we were feeling something momentarily, it's absolute. It would be, if this wasn't America, it would be shocking where we are in our mindset with one another now. Because that moment, it was kind of like, this is terrible, but it's kind of like Obama being president. And they immediately said, oh, well, you know, we're all friends. We're all in this together. And, you know, this means we're in a post-racial moment. When that happened, it was like, oh, we're all Americans. People ran off, you know, signed up to go fight in the war, all these things. If you look at that moment and where we are right now, we're definitely worse off. We thought that was the worst thing that could happen. And here we are right now with more domestic terrorism issues and things like that. So I guess when I reflect on that moment, everything that has happened in the past 6 years has almost outshined that for me. I know that, you know, 3,000 people lost their lives that day. It's absolutely horrific. You know, I can't say anymore how terrible that is and that was. If we look at these past 6 years, it almost deadens the emotions when you see things about 9/11 because of what we are living in right now. We're post-apocalyptic now. We're in a I've never seen this before in my lifetime moment now. And so it feels like when they started talking about it the other day, like, oh, it's 9/11. It almost was just so, I was so unemotionally attached because of everything else that's happening. And it just goes to show how big the moment we're in right now is, that it could almost make that small. We literally are comfortable with the people who supposedly did that. Did they do it or not? If so, why are we hosting golf tournaments with them in Jersey, right across the water? Why did the last administration make so much money with them if it was really them? Even, I always said I'm not a conspiracy theory girl. You guys have heard me say it on here. The way that we move past so quickly, if these were the enemies, and this is such a detrimental and heartfelt and hard moment for the country, why has our government been so closely aligned with the Saudis since then? It takes a lot of the thunder out of it when you watch the political climate and everything today. It just kind of like, was it that important to you guys that 3,000 people died? Because we're buddied up with these people. We had a president who was good friends with these people. His son-in-law is making deals and money with them while sitting in the White House. I don't know that 9/11 has the same impact when I look at today and reflect back.
Has Steppin, Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. You were in Florida, and I wanted to pull that out, and we're going to reflect on what you said, because you said some powerful things with regards to how we see the world now. And it's interesting for us, John, because we're talking about a world event that happened during not just our lifetimes, but during our adult lifetimes. A lot of these things came up, and I got to refer to moms and pops on it. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, I guess my earliest world event, other than Princess Diana and Prince Charles getting married, which we're going to talk about here shortly. Other than that, I remember when Reagan was shot. I remember when the Pope was shot. Like, I remember those things in the early '80s.
The Iran issue.
The Iran Contras. The Israeli hostage. It was Lebanon. It was Lebanon.
What does PLO stand for? Pushling Haga Ofa.
And I remember the Jersey Journal, the Jersey City newspaper, had a counter on it every single day. I'm 5 or 6 years old. And every single day, the Jersey Journal had a counter of how many days that they were there. I remember that every day. So as far as like what went down in the 70s, I couldn't tell you. Those are the things that I would have to ask my mother or my father or an elder about. But this is something that I remember. You remember, Steph. You reflected. I'm gonna reflect after John here. John, what I'd like to know about your experience is if you could start with where you were as opposed to where you might have normally been. I want to know where you were. I want to know what time you got up, and I want to know how you realized that 9/11 as we know it today was in progress. Talk to us.
Well, I was at work. My work day started at 7 a.m.
Where?
In Brooklyn.
You were in Brooklyn. Okay.
I had just came from a location in a section of Brooklyn, just like north of Red Hook, like between Carroll Gardens and Red Hook, right on the ocean, on the basin, whatever that big area is. And I had stopped for a moment and stared at the trade centers. It was a very clear, nice day. It wasn't very warm for the time of year, but it was clear and it was nice. So I finished my job and I went to get some breakfast. And I went to Country House. Anybody from Brooklyn knows Country House. I went to Country House, so my man Nigel, whatever. And walking into Country House at the corner of Clinton and Fulton is where Country House is. Walking into Country House on Fulton Street, if you look downtown, not now, but if you could look downtown and see the towers. So I had thought to myself consciously of where I just was and where I was walking into and looking at the towers again. I had been in the towers many times. They used to have these afternoon performances in the in the courtyard of the plaza, and couple of radio personalities from New York. They had bands and stuff, and artists would come in the summer. So I was in that area all the time, and I had I had been to the top with my family, with my children and stuff. Like, it had been something that we had, I did as a young person. I had Windows of the World. I had dined there in my early, young life, and I took my kids to the top, to the observatory. I did all of that stuff. I'm a New Yorker kind of like person. So I went inside, I had some breakfast. I was sitting down, and someone came in and said, a plane just hit the Trade Center. I didn't get up. It was like, oh my God, it's an accident. I said, that's not an accident. Immediately, I said, that's not an accident. And people looking at me like, what are you talking about? Ain't nobody. I said, listen to me. Y'all don't know about what I'm going to tell you right now. But first thing, the airspace is, you can't get in it. Right? The airspace, New York City, you can't, it's no fly. And if you hit it, if you got close enough to hit it without getting shot down, it's definitely deliberate. And any pilot would go into the water before going into a building. So it had to be intentional. It wasn't an accident. Oh, it was an accident. I don't know that. Sure enough, as conversations going back and forth, ooh, another plane hit the other tower. I told my boy Nigel and whoever, I said, y'all need to close up. He was like, why? I said, they gonna blame y'all for this. He's like, nah, man, we gonna stay open. I said, all right. I said, I'm gonna get out of here. I called my boss. I'm like, you see what's going on? He's like, yeah. I says, listen, man, I'm gonna drive the truck home. I'm not gonna come back and get my car, because my daughter's mother at the time, my spouse, she had went to Jersey to work that morning. So she was in Jersey. I said, I gotta go home. I said, my kids are in school, but I need to get some kind of idea how, my daughter's mother gonna get home. I need to see what the hell is going on. So I went home, I started watching TV, and they started breaking it down. It was really, I didn't have a flat screen. I had one of them big back TVs, and I had a small TV upstairs. I went upstairs, I brought the TV from upstairs downstairs, put it on top of the other TV, and I'm watching 2 different channels at the same simultaneously, and all the stuff that's going on. I knew immediately what it was. I also knew immediately that it was sanctioned, because I knew prior to that, at the time of the first attack, and maybe a little bit before that, I had a certain knowledge and understanding that from the time that the phone picks up and puts down, right? 12 minutes, 10 seconds. That's the time it takes to scramble a fighter jet from the closest Air Force base to be in New York City. 12 minutes, 10 seconds. That's not flight time. That's go. So whatever has to happen, maximum 12 minutes, 10 seconds. The fact that there was 15 minutes and change in between the 2 hits, the fact that they say the plane went down, the fact that there was an airplane in over New York City and the call didn't go in, immediately, this is a sanction. This is approved. Now let's go back to, it was part of I think it was Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of Rosh Hashanah or something. So a lot of people on holiday, there's a lot of different things. Then all kind of stuff just started coming out. Like, why didn't they shoot these planes down? These are passenger planes. How did they get into the space? Who was flying the plane? No pilot is going to do that. The pilot's going in the water. He'll kill everybody on board before he go into the building, right? And so as all the stuff started playing out, and I'm listening to all of the different details, people are talking, and I'm listening to every word. As I'm hearing it, I'm hearing the bullshit. I'm hearing the bullshit. They had 3 structural engineers explaining why the towers wouldn't fall, right? And they also had those same engineers explain how the balance of the 2 towers and the way they were constructed, that if one was to ever fall, they both would fall, right? But the idea of the jet fuel and the idea of the plane going through the building and coming out the other side, all of that stuff is the biggest bunch of bullshit anybody has ever heard. And the fact that they sold it to the people in that moment, in that day, there was supposed to be a bomb on the bridge, George Washington Bridge. They had confirmed there was a bomb. They sent the bomb squad there. All of a sudden, it was supposed to be a bomb in the tunnel. It was on the bus. They had this, they had that. All of these things, they had like several different things going on, all confirmed. And it was just insane. Then the building fell. I was watching live. The building fell. And the place where I lived, from the roof of my house, I could see the tower went up on the roof. I saw it, came back down. I said, the other one's going to go now. But the fact that I had just heard 3 engineers talk about it won't fall. The building, the way it's built, the way it's straight, won't fall. Then, after all of that happened, there was an announcement on, I want to say it was NBC, or maybe it was one of the foreign networks. I think it was one of I'm not sure. But a person stood in front of the camera and said, okay, so Tower 1 and Tower 2 are falling, and also Building 7 has fallen. And when they said Building 7 has fallen, behind them, standing, was Building 7. Right?
I remember
so,
that. I remember that too.
So now Adelson,
Yeah.
who had owned all the buildings and who was on his deathbed.
I got something for you on Building 7.
Hold on. Was on his deathbed, came out of the hospital against doctor's orders to contract the deal to quadruple the insurance on the buildings. The buildings he owned, 1, 2, and 7.
Of course.
Right? All 3 buildings in different parts of the buildings, but especially in the cellar of the towers and on certain floors of 7, was stocked with what was called commercial paper. Right? This is negotiable bonds and different things that are like money, but they're just not, what we know as cash money. Never accounted for, assumed destroyed. That money was insured and paid. A week before, the Pentagon announced that they had lost $3 trillion and could not account for it. No one has ever said a word about it to this day. Right? And then an airplane flew, no, let's be clear. A commercial passenger airline plane flew in a straight line 20 feet off the ground straight into the Pentagon. It did so on a straight line flanked by street lights on either side without one being cut down. And it flew straight into a building and left a perfect circular hole. They recovered no engines. They recovered.
I mean, it's
bro.
It's comical how silly it is. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. I'm with you because your assessment is spot on. We often will have conversations about certain things and we'll battle and stuff, but this ain't one of them times because everything that you said just now is about a spot on and in line with my own interpretation as it gets, especially the Building 7 stuff we'll talk about here in a minute. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. We're very happy. We're excited because Our favorite listener is listening. Our favorite listener is checking in. And as long as I do the show, whenever she checks in, we're gonna give her the love that I've been giving to her for 29 years. I love her. I hope she knows it, but if she don't, she does now. We're gonna look into the camera and we're gonna say it together as we do every single week.
Good morning, Sue.
Yeah. And she also says she agrees with Steph B. Today's events are straight and sane. People are tripping. You said a lot, and I'm gonna kind of address some of it while I kind of share my own story from that day. Uh, I'm the only one of the three of us who lived here in Richmond, Virginia on September 11th, 2001. I was working a job that sold travelers insurance, not the company travelers insurance. We sold travelers insurance, meaning we would insure your bag. We would insure your ass if you died somewhere. We'd bring it home. You know what I mean? So there was a phrase for repatriation, is what we used to call it. And I worked 3 to 11. That was my shift. And so I was sleeping in back when I was younger and would sleep in. Now I could be out till 3 in the morning. I'm up at 5:30. But back then, I got home close to midnight and I slept till about 9:15. Because when I open up my eyes, and the first thing that I see when I turn on the TV is the news channel showing the fire in the first building. And as long as it took for me to wipe the coal out my eyes, see who's this page me and why. Sorry, sorry, that just happened. But I see the second plane hit building 2, so I immediately exclaim. Whichever, the second plane, that's what I'm getting at. The second plane. I don't care about that part. Second plane. And so I immediately exclaim loudly and vividly and fervently, "What the fuck?" And then I immediately pick up my phone and I call my mother, because my mother worked at the World Trade Center. And so now I'm tripping because as I'm calling, "Your call could not be completed as dialed." It was a lot of that going on, and I couldn't get her.
Overloaded.
There's a lot going on. I couldn't get her. And so I'm calling. I work 12 to 9. So the whole morning passed. I go to work and I literally weep the whole way to work. And I'm in the days of, man, can't nobody see you cry. So I had to get it together in the car. And it took me a minute to get it together in the car. Now, today, I'd have walked in there just with the face. Like, it's 9/11. It's today. Everybody in here know what it is. I can't cry. That's me now. But me then, I had to get it. So I go in there. You see what's going on? Yeah, I see I'm cool. Yeah, I see what's going on. Yeah. I tried to reach my mom. I couldn't. I tried to be cool about what's going on in one of the most tragic and confusing days of most of our lives. And so Cousin Terry is listening right now. Cousin Terry has a story about this. And if Cousin Terry wants to share her story briefly, we'll take her call at 804-516-6302. Because I know Cousin Terry's story. And if she wants to tell it, I'll let her tell it. Call up the show if you want to get it in. But Sue says, I was here in Richmond at work driving, and the dispatcher announced it all over the radio. So anyway, I get to work, and I bought a car the night before, like September 10th. I had spent the whole day like negotiating buying my first car, and I had to go in there that night with the check and deal with all the comatose people because we all seen what was going on. So anyway, I'm jumping all over because there's a lot of different stories that were happening that day. But finally, midday, 2-ish, 3-ish, I finally end up talking to Moms. It's cool. Moms tells me she walks from 167 down Claremont Ave, down Randolph Ave to the light rail. She's standing on the platform, and if you look across from Randolph Avenue in Jersey City, it's a clearing where you can see Manhattan very clear, and the Twin Towers were prominent in that skyline. Because any of us who would drive from the south up to the north, as soon as you hit like New Brunswick, and it's on a clear day, you can see them twin towers start, you started to see them. And when you see them, you knew you was home. No matter how much further you had to go, you guys in Brooklyn, me in Jersey City, once you saw them, you kind of knew you was home. So, you know what I mean? You knew that you could get BLS and kids and all
fixing
that,
your
right?
radio station.
And so I finally get moms on the phone, and I'm good because now I know I could talk to her, and everything else is kind of what it is with respect to those folks. But it was just a really, really, really comatose, crazy day because, like, did these people really just do that? And then you start thinking about all of the people that you know and all of the people who have their experiences. I did not know anybody personally who lost their life, but I know my mother and I know cousin Terry were in that. I know a good friend of mine, whose name I won't share for a variety of reasons, was in that. I know somebody else who lost his best friend. So if you think about me and Damon, imagine one of us being gone, the other one having to be here without the other. It's my best friend. I got a friend of mine who lost his best friend that day, and it's just a crazy thing. And when you think of the air quotes conspiracies that come with it, it's hard for me to see conspiracy in a lot of it, mostly because of what John said. Now, I'm supposed to understand and accept that a country that can see what I'm doing through my cell phone, even 20 years ago, or a country that could surveil me in ways that I couldn't even imagine. You mean to tell me, like John said, and I don't know about the 12 minutes and 10 seconds, like you said. I'll defer to you on that. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'll just say, if that's what you say, we'll go with that for the purposes of this discussion. But what I don't understand is how after an hour you couldn't be there. After 2 hours, you couldn't be there. 15 minutes, 12 minutes, okay, fair enough. But after a reasonable amount of time that we all can agree isn't a reasonable amount of time, and you expect me to believe that 19 dudes with box cutters was able to pull this off by themselves without no word? Now, I mentioned my
four planes.
my mama worked at the World Trade Center. She didn't work in the Twin Towers. She worked at a different building in the Trade Center complex. And a lot of people outside of New York don't understand that the World Trade Center is not just the Twin Towers. And that was something that I would struggle with in the months and the days and the years and the weeks that would come behind that, because I'm in my mind seeing people here in Richmond, Virginia. And I don't know, Steph, you may have experienced this in Florida. I don't know if you did, John, because you were in Brooklyn, but people got on my fucking nerves with their indifference. Them was the Twin Towers. And like you, John, I spent time in them because even though my mama didn't work in them in 2001, she did in my youth. And as a kid, I spent time in them buildings. I seen the observatory just like you did.
We would go on field trips.
I remember that.
You know, I've been in there as a guest of an employee who gave my second grade class an entire tour. It's iconic. I remember knowing which direction to look in if I felt lost, because you can get disoriented.
Listen, the mall in and of itself was amazing in the basement.
I remember being with my mother on Bring Your Kid to Work Day in the Twin Towers. I remember her giving me back then when you had the computer had the little monitor about the size of this speaker here, little monitor with a keyboard attached to it that wasn't plugged or nothing. But as a kid, I remember thinking I was doing something and I was playing on it. Like I remember that as a young person. And those buildings was going. I remember talking to my mother because her retirement came on the ashes of what happened on 9/11. And I remember her telling me that when they allowed them to go over there, because her building didn't fall, but it was damaged.
Right.
And they had all of this stuff, and they had everything from those buildings that didn't fall, her building in particular, that was put out wherever it was in the field, not a field, but wherever it was put outside the building, and their things were laid out by floors. So if you were on the first floor, your stuff was there. And if you were on the second floor, your stuff was there, and so on and so on and so on. And so when she went to the area to find the things that she would have had. Pictures of me, pictures of my wife, pictures of my children, my sister, my baby wasn't born yet. Pictures of her children, her grandchildren, that sort of thing. Other little trinkets. She's out there looking for it. Like, you do realize this tragedy happened weeks ago, months ago, and the stuff you looking for is just laid out right outside the building from whatever floor you was on. But that was the feeling. Like, we gotta be here to get I want my stuff. It was tragic enough, but you wanted some sort of normalcy. Because when you go to work every day and you see the picture of your very handsome son, you want it back, right? That was her experience. And then you got folks who would pilgrimage there.
Right.
Years later. I remember going to the New York Yankees parade in November of 2009 when they had won the World Series. It was the first time that I had been in that part of the city since 9/11. 8.5 years or 8+ years at that point. And I remember walking past the fire department that lost every single member or most of their members. And I remember walking past and it was just a hole there. And it just struck me so deeply, John, that to this moment, I still struggle with those remembrances. Let me get another comment in for social media and I'll bring you back in. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and Radio. Sue is checking in still with us. And Sue says, I was figuring out how to get into Brooklyn by any means necessary until I heard my mother's voice on the voicemail message. I guess letting her know that she was good. Like, that's real. And what is also very real that Steph and I can appreciate that I don't imagine that you can't, but you were there. So your experience is, being there is certainly more personal than ours. But just like I said a minute ago, like being away from the area that we grew up in and seeing that go on and feeling just how people would respond to it and to us, how maybe we might respond when we see what's going on with the folks not having water in Flint, or we see the hurricanes that's going, or Jack was going in Jackson, or we see the hurricanes take out entire cities. Like, you feel away and you feel bad, but you don't feel personal for that. This was personal for us, for me.
It was definitely personal for me. I had so many memories of that. And then the trauma was something else altogether. It was like going outside for the next till it got cold, right? Going outside until it got cold in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, you could smell death. All right? You could see the smoke and the fire for the first, I think, 4 or 5 days. The fire burned. Everybody wanted to do something. Right? Everybody wanted to do something. And people were very selective. Let me tell you something. This thing became an immediate media event, right? I cannot even begin to tell you how many people wanted to go help and were turned away, right? And I'm going to tell you, a lot of it was racial. They wanted the first responders, the people helping, they wanted a look, right? They wanted a definite mixture because they wanted to capture something. right? I was there for it. I saw it. I experienced it. Even in my job at the time, we it was like, listen, people got to go over there and start fixing, because there was there's main phone company hubs in the towers and cables that were melted together. It had to be redone. They needed emergency communications, right? And we were all there. It was like a group of us, right? And we assumed that they would send us out by seniority. The bosses, right? The first level management in my shop where I worked were both black men. And they both had seniority in their respective areas. They bypassed them and sent young white men with less than half of the time that these black men had on the job. Everybody volunteered. Out of 115 people selected to go and work, right? They selected 110 white men, 2 Asians, 1 Latino, and 1 black. Mind you, the makeup of the workforce was a lot more mixed. It was about 50-50. 50% white, maybe 40% black, and 10% other. But that's who went over to help. And you saw that same thing in all of the different people who were going to help. So it was strategic. It was downright evil. And I remember watching TV that night. I came inside. My daughter's mother finally made it home. I was sitting outside on the step waiting for her to get home. She had to take a ferry because all of the train lines and all of she was on when the planes hit. She was on the PATH train on her way into Jersey. They stopped the train. They cut all the thing out, and she didn't never make it to where she was going. So she was at the first PATH stop, probably Jersey City. Everything stopped. She wound up on a ferry that didn't take her to Lower Manhattan. It took her to like 59th Street, somewhere over there. And she had to walk from the west side of Manhattan downtown, cross the bridge to the house. She got home late that night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I watched, I'm gonna end it with this. I watched this thing on the news, and a lot of people saw it. I know. There was a guy on a bike, white guy on a bike, and I guess he lived in the area. And he was trying to get to his house, and he's riding his bike, and the cop stopped. The cop was like, "Hey, listen, man, you can't go here." And the guy tried to give him that, "I live here and that you work for me." Took all of about 2 seconds. That cop 2-3-pieced him, swept him off his back, stomped him on the ground, picked his bike up, threw it in the street, and threw him in the back of the car. Closed the door and just left him there. They ain't drive away. They just left his ass there. I was like, "Oh, this is real."
Yeah,
They beating up perfectly good white men.
Yeah, that's
that.
yeah. You talk about the walk-in. The friend of mine who I didn't mention earlier worked at the World Trade Center, and she's fine. She lives in Atlanta now, but she walked from the Trade Center all the way up to the GW, across the GW to where she got picked up in New Jersey by a family member who got her home. And I remember her sharing her story with me because she was one of those people that we saw with all of the soot and all her stuff on them. And she told me that she got home somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was pure move, like she was moving towards getting home.
That bridge was closed early.
Like that's how long it took. Like there wasn't idle time where I'm sitting around waiting. Like she was like, from the time it started to the time I got home, I was trying to get home, and it was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So ain't no half step Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in the radio. I mean, I think it's important for us to have our reflections about things like this every year. I'm sure next year when we do this, we'll have similar but different reflections. We'll have different things that we'll want to reflect upon. I think at different stages of our lives, there are different memories that resonate with us. There are different memories that resonate with us in the mood and feelings that we're in, so that when we recollect things from the past, we speak on them differently than we may from year to year. Now, there are things that they're going to always be a part of the journey and then part of the rhetoric, like me talking about how I couldn't reach my mama. Like, yeah, that's always going to be a thing, for me when I speak about this, but I think it's important. We can talk about how we feel about who is responsible and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to do that. I think I would want it to, because I don't trust the United States. Let me just say this. I don't trust the United States government, and I do not trust them to protect their people. And I do think that they would martyr their own people to make their points politically. And so if you got to come for me on that, then you just got to come for me on that. But I think that that is something that America is capable of. Anytime you can have a black man sitting on his couch eating ice cream, get shot dead, and the person who killed him was a cop who said, "My bad," but he didn't follow orders, and she is it dealt with not quite swiftly until an uproar causes her to be dealt with that just being one example. Whenever you have a country that's capable of that, I am weary of what else they may be capable of on a much grander scale. And that was just the Botham Jean case. I can talk to you about Philando. I can talk to you about Eric Garner. I can talk to you about Sean Bell. I can talk about John Crawford. I can talk to you about Sandra Bland. I can talk to you about all the others. But for me, ultimately, it comes down to what is America capable of accepting on a small scale? Because we always know that an inferno starts as a flame. You know what I'm saying? And so if we are capable of allowing such small blasphemous things, then the conspiracy that is larger things, to me, is not that far fetched. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. And I know they be listening. 804 402-2893 is the number to dial if you got a problem with anything I just said. Let's get some comments in. Ernest Porter, our brother Ernest Porter, is checking us out. He says, I was working at a nuclear power station, and we went into emergency lockdown because we were on the threat watch list. Never forgot that feeling. Brother, I appreciate how you feel about that, and I appreciate your experience. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And obviously, thank you, Sue and Terry, cousin Terry, for sharing your feelings about this as well, and everybody else who may have as well. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, Steph, it's that time. It's time for me to say the corny thing. You ready for me to say the corny thing? You ready for me to say the corny thing? Let us move on. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the passing of the Queen. Queen Elizabeth of England has passed. Marcus J, why are you trying to talk about this in the show? We know you don't care about that kind of stuff. Why are you even going to talk about it? I'm going to talk about it because there are a lot of people who do care about this for different reasons in different ways. There is a very strong there's a very strong lot of folks who have negative emotions towards those of us who really don't give a fuck about the monarchy. Like, we don't give a fuck about the monarchy. Like, I care that this 73-year-old man lost his mama. And I care about his children lost their grandma. And I care about his siblings lost their mama and their children lost their grandma, because I got a heart. Like, I care when someone passes away and their family grieves them. What I don't care about is white people looking at black people like it's something wrong with us for not giving a fuck about the monarchy. Let me tell you what I really feel about that if you don't really get it. Black people have been oppressed in this country since we set foot here by the people who left England because they was oppressed by the people who they ran away from. And those people were the British monarchy. So help me understand somehow, as a student of history and as someone who has moved past the stage in my life where I have given care to the feelings of those who don't give care to my feelings. Help me understand how I'm supposed to give a fuck about the monarchy. Now, remember now, I led with, it's sad that this woman died. It's always sad when somebody dies. It's always sad for me when somebody dies. Even a fucked up person dying is sad to me because it's death. You don't come back from that. Now, there are those who kind of deserve to die. You hurt children, you hurt old people, you hurt people, weaker than you. You know what I mean? You're Donald
Lindsey
Trump,
Graham.
those people. Like, those people don't deserve to really breathe
Mitch
the air that
McConnell.
we breathe, like that. But it ain't a shot at the Windsor family. It's the monarchy as a whole, because it's great to see the pomp and circumstance. Even I got caught up in watching it over the last couple of days. It's pomp and circumstance. We all get a kick out of seeing all of that. But miss me with the I supposed to have a feeling about the queen, and I'm supposed to have a feeling about King Charles III. Like, this a dude who, I had a conversation with Moms J earlier, and she's listening now. She heard me say the bad words a few times. I'm probably gonna pay for that, but it's what it is. She reminded me that Charles was with Camilla first, and his mama told him, "Yeah, you can't rock with her. You got to get you somebody else." So he ended up with a woman he didn't even want to be with, so that he could placate his mama and the family. And when he decided, you know what, I had enough of this, I'm gonna go be where I want to be, they threw shade. I can dig it. I can, as a middle-aged man, I promise you, I can dig that probably more than most. But here's the thing, right?
I gotta stop pouring this drink so heavy.
No.
I'm messing with you, bro. I'm messing with you.
No, because these are things that people be wanting to say. Like, there are a lot of us in social media that'll say it and hide behind the keyboard. I got a phone, 804-402-2893, to call me and tell me that I'm wilding. Like, call me up and tell me that I'm wilding. But here's the thing. I got a problem with these folks telling us that our feeling about the history of that family and the monarchy and how they have dominated the world for thousands of years. Now, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to have a feeling about it. And when I don't have a feeling about it, it's something wrong with me. When I see Prince Harry, who married Meghan Markle, go through the crowd, and I watch these people throw shade at her, I watch them just like y'all watch them. I watched them when she came along. They shook his hand, but they got alligator arms when she comes past right next to him. Like, come on, man. I'm supposed to have a feeling about that when I see how they treat her. And the whole reason why Harry and Meghan ain't there, because Harry stood by his woman when she said, "I'm not putting up with how they treat me as a black man in America, in the world, in a country that people fled to get away from her descendants." I'm supposed to feel a way. I feel a way that a person has died and her family grieves. I got no love for the monarchy. Now it's time for me to do that. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus say live from New Delhi.
Here's my question, and I'm gonna be brief, as brief as I can be. Why the hell you supposed to be mad and Irish people is lighting fireworks?
Ding dong, the king is dead, the queen is dead. Nah. Is that what we dealing with them?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have.
I don't know enough about the Irish.
But
Irish have reasonable. We really should.
But wait a minute. But what I'm saying is,
I don't know enough about the Irish.
Why should a black man?
I know about Jamaica though. We can talk about that.
So here's what I'm saying. let's really understand this, right? Why do the white people expect the black man to be empathetic and or sympathetic or remorseful when their fellow white people are jumping for joy? The insanity of it. And I'm gonna let y'all know there's so much more to this that we could do a whole 2 shows on it. But I'm gonna let you know something. A lot of things have not happened for a long time because it was a queen on the throne. Best believe this is patriarchy at its fullest.
Oh, it's getting ready to be different.
There is a king on the throne
Yeah,
now.
it's about to be different.
The whole world is changing. And if y'all don't know,
It's about to be different.
y'all need to understand something. Every part of the United States except for DC is owned by Great Britain. Don't tell nobody. We ain't never been aside from them. Listen.
I would love to hear
Go-
this debate.
Oh, it ain't got to debate it. I got proof of it.
All right.
Listen.
So share
In 1861, the United States government signed its treaty and signed over its rights to Great Britain. And Great Britain has reestablished DC as its foothold for holdings. This is why the Vatican called in all of its markers.
Yeah.
The Vatican has no money left in circulation. Everything that is valuable to the Vatican is in the Vatican, right? London, the city of London, which is its own country, like DC is its own country, the city of London has shut down and recalled all of its resources. United States didn't do it because the monarchy still owns the United States.
Yeah. I think there is definitely some truth to where you're going with regards to how the world functions. There's different types of leadership, for lack of a better term. When you talk about the Vatican being the spiritual leadership of the world, if you talk about the kings and the queens coming from London, if you talk about the military power being that of the United States and with the base being in Washington, D.C., there's something to be said for how there are certain things in the world that run a certain kind of way. And no matter how much opposition and logic you throw at it, there isn't much that you can really do about it because it kind of is what it is. Steph, you were kind of scoffing a bit at some of the rhetoric. We'll jump in here with whatever your comment is.
I just always feel like it's easier to, and everyone's entitled to do what they want to do, but I always feel like it's a little easier to address. There's so many things that can be proven about the monarchy that anything that is along the line of a conspiracy or maybe or this or that, and it's not an acknowledged fact, is almost a distraction. These people did enough that you don't have to go back to 18, whatever. This is the monarch that was directly involved and present while apartheid was being carried out. It's very simple. I mean, you don't need to go back to, and I do think sometimes we kind of muck up the argument because 90% of people are going to tune out when you're thinking about a conspiracy because of the fact that the nature of conspiracy is it's debatable. But what's not debatable is, and I don't even care what happened with Ireland, they have to handle their own business. If we wanted to go back far enough, sure, they abolished the slave trade before what is now known as the United States. However, they also reimbursed individual countries that were impaired by it. Britain to this day continues to hold Haiti accountable for a debt to France because they ran the French out. I mean, these are significant.
How dare you?
Significant modern day things that the monarchy reflects and represents. And Meghan Markle don't need my help. She don't need me to be mad for her. She got a prince and money. But I think it's very reflective. You don't have to be on Twitter or any of those to see how the British people speak about her. And I have to believe that if they're speaking about her this way, this is their genuine reflection or reflective thought on people of color in general. And so, I mean, just also, people keep saying, oh, the monarchy might be, they may abolish it and so on. Listen, the monarchy is a brand. And without the monarchy as a brand, the London, Great Britain doesn't exist. It is not really relevant. It is a throwback country. The monarchy makes it relevant in the sense that if they remove the branding of being a constitutional monarchy, how they sell the United Kingdom. I'm talking about selling London for tourism. It's all about the monarchy. So it'll never go away. The monarchy will never disappear. It is much more of a popular brand than the people who actually govern and legislate in that country. I don't really care that those people don't want to get rid of it or not, but I do have to listen to Indian people who are actually from India, who talk about the fact that the primary jewel on the main crown of Queen Elizabeth was one that was stolen while India was being pillaged and colonized. That they didn't they rerouted food items from India in order to be able to get them to submit to being a British Commonwealth. You look at the poverty in Jamaica. It's directly connected to the British Commonwealth. All of these things. So my feeling about I'm somewhat like you. Now I like the drama of it all. I always found it interesting, the Prince Charles and Princess Di thing. My grandmother loved stuff about the monarchy. So, she would always pick up the newspapers that had them. I always found it interesting from a soap opera level type thing, or even from a historical perspective. It's always been a soap opera. It's always been Game of Thrones. It's always been cousins intermarrying. It's always been, incest and intrigue. So I find that interesting. And yes, someone's sweet dear grandmother is gone. And I do think I'm like Marcus. It is sad when people die, except Rush Limbaugh. However, it is also important for people who don't get it. And I would say these are the same type of people, Marcus, that they would have an issue with kneeling. They have an issue with Black people who don't look at the flag and see it as some emblem of, togetherness and connectivity. The same people that feel the way that the same people that feel the way they do about anyone that is questioning the monarchy from a standpoint of our country has been hurt. It's no different than the people here in the US that look at people who are Black people and say, well, you're here and you should be lucky, and so on and so forth. Those people never think that we have a right to complain. They feel that we should just be gracious, have gratitude for what you're given. So it's not shocking to me that they don't feel like these colonized countries. If you look at many of the countries in South Africa today, they are still bearing the weight of British colonialism. And so none of those people are required to bend the knee and shed a tear on behalf of the passing of a monarch that has oppressed them or sat on an oppressive throne. Whether she's making the final decisions or not, she is connected to something that they see as relevant and that they have some pride surrounding. I mean, but then again, I guess a country full of people who think that the people who were, subjugated and enslaved on behalf of the country, the people in that country who think that those people should just be quiet are no different than the ones you're seeing in Britain. And those are the same ones who feel the way that they do about Meghan Markle while they enjoy the fruit of the labor of people who look like her. It just is what it is. And, at the end of the day, I'll say this. I don't know that The whole thing with him, the side chick becoming the queen is what they're making this out as. I don't know that it's kind of like a comeuppance, right?
That was the funniest thing I heard online.
I thought it was
giving
hilarious.
power to the side chicks.
I really thought it was hilarious, and I also want to tell the average side chick in America that is not your plight. It will not be your results or experience for the most part.
Results may vary.
Yeah, results will vary. If you're Travarius's mistress, it's likely not going to end up in queendom. But whatever. I just
what they call it, queen. A court is
she's
something
queen
different.
consort.
Queen consort,
yeah,
not queen,
because she's not the ruling queen. She's not she's not the monarch.
Diana would have been the consort.
Diana would have been a consort.
Yeah,
yeah.
been consort.
I think it's crazy that
I don't know, because she had children for him.
I don't think that's what it is, though. When I was reading what the queen consort thing, I think
it's a blood thing.
I think that
but as the mother
Diana
of the
might
next,
not have been the consort.
Right, as the mother of the next in line, her title moves different.
Right. Like there was the queen mom before that, and had Elizabeth lived or allowed Charles to actually do the job when he was young enough.
Been waiting.
That's the longest job training
we about
to
get King Andrew in a minute, because I don't know what he got left.
William.
Excuse me, William.
Yeah. I mean, you're 73.
He's gonna die with this.
I was
title.
just gonna say that you're 73 and you've been waiting on this job. You're going to die on the throne.
This a dude that figured out a way to make it so that he didn't move like his uncle who
abdicated.
Abdicate.
Yeah.
That's the word. Abdicate.
Abdicate.
So he didn't abdicate. I just remember that word from Coming to America. I abdicate the throne. Yeah, I just remember that. That's the only time I know the word, right? But he had a choice to do that. Like, I was having this conversation with moms earlier, and I got some heat because moms was talking about Diana and Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm gonna pay for this. But I told her, I was like, yo, I'm 48 years old. I totally get. He was like, yeah, I don't want to be with Diana no more. I'm going with Camilla.
He was dating Diana already.
I'm going to Queens.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was with Camilla first, and his mama told him, you need to not be with her, go be with Diana.
Because she had a husband and children.
Right. And so
she was his mistress.
He was like, nah, I want to be here. I want to be there. I want to be here.
So you think it's okay?
Hell yeah, I think it's okay. Are you kidding? Yes. I told my mama today.
But that was not Diana's fault. He should have been. He should have had those kind of balls in the beginning.
That's what my mama said.
He still dragged that woman through hell.
She said the exact same.
So
thing.
hold on, let me ask you.
You want me to give this man credit for him?
I'm not giving him credit.
I'm not.
This is my question.
But yeah,
this is my question.
You said what my mama said. I don't agree with you either.
Listen, please.
I disputed my mama now.
Hold on. Please don't hurt me, okay?
Here it comes. He just
I already know.
Here it comes.
Have we romanticized Diana because of the tragedy of her death?
No, absolutely not. That I don't agree with.
That lady was already in some pain.
That I don't agree with. Here's what I will say about Diana. I think, in my opinion, and I just, it's funny for me to even find myself in this conversation because I've made a point of not really engaging in British royal conversation. I said fuck them earlier, like well, not fuck them directly, but I don't care about them is what I said actually. But Diana was a great. You know why I like Diana, and I was telling my mother about this earlier, right?
Yeah, I need to
I'm gonna tell you why I like Diana.
I'm
gonna tell you why I like Diana. Diana was a woman who loved her children ahead of anything else, and ahead of anything else up to and including British royalty. Here's an example of it. There's a video of her that we all could Google. No, it's the one where she's at the school with them and she runs the race. Like she runs a race like it's a race for the moms, and it is absolutely not royal protocol for her to participate.
And she's in a dress.
But she was like, and she's in a dress. She's like, yo, they running for the kids. I'm finna run for mine. And she won.
ran hard. Yeah, she was like taking it seriously.
She ran hard. and she won.
Now,
You know what I'm saying?
Queen
So-
Elizabeth
so-
used to
so-
change her own oil and tires
so-
on her car.
So I appreciated that about Diana.
No,
But but I guess from Charles's perspective, you know, just being a man, like this is where I want to be at. But I
Why
understand.
are you over here
hold
then,
on, but hold on,
sir?
let me finish.
He had a duty.
This is where I want to be at. But I got all of this obligation going on over here. And obligation is a real thing. And it may not be a real thing for those who do not feel it, but it's a real thing for those who do. And he had an obligation to pay attention to the destiny that had been laid upon him before he even touched down on this planet. And his mama and them said, you can't be with her. You need to find somewhere else. So he ended up with Diana. He was like, all right.
Who was 20 when he was 32?
He was
when they got married.
The relevance.
I'm just saying.
What does that have to do with
me,
anything?
It's like you're a grown man. I cannot imagine the excuse is obligation. So what? So you're obligated to become the king.
I
So
just
what?
have a feeling
You could have been the king. I mean, truthfully, you know, they talked about Queen Elizabeth's husband, about Philip and her first cousin, who was having affairs and everything else. Why is it Diana's fault? And why should she be punished?
Never blamed her.
Why should she have to deal with the fallout of you never wanted to be here? You had an obligation, sure. So once you decided to meet that obligation, everything else is moot to me. You know, I just think it's weird. I don't know. But I will say, I think the whole, just the way the whole family is, and it's a strange dynamic. I don't think you'll understand it unless you're in it. I don't think there's any obligation to anything that's going to make me marry somebody I don't want to be married to. I found it sordid. I think what I do think is interesting is that they hate this Meghan Markle, but they haven't been as angry about the pedophile in the family. I think that's weird.
So
it says a lot about what they, their privilege and race.
This is my thing, right? I don't know her, right? Everybody talk about how wonderful she was. I don't know her. I can't speak to her heart, her feelings, or whatever, any of that stuff. I'm sure she suffered some emotional trauma, as anyone does in a marriage that doesn't work out, especially when children are involved. But I can't be more sympathetic and empathetic to her pain because she had blonde hair. Like, come on. Like, people get divorced every day, B. People suffer through all kind of stuff. And I think if she had not died tragically like she did, her life would have been pretty amazing. She was dating a billionaire and still getting money from the realm, and her son
is gonna be
king.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't. Poor Diana. I can't do that.
Really, John.
I can't. I just can't. Like,
nobody's saying poor Diana though.
No, everybody is. No, come on. Come on.
Okay.
Come on. I can't. You can't see, and that's the thing.
I think when you compare it,
But that's the stuff that gets to me, and that's the stuff that really, like, come on. I mean, for 8 years, people was telling Michelle Obama was a man and that she called her a gorilla. Just the other day, Candace Owen tried to tear her down because she was talking about how black people, not herself, but how black people in this country are still marginalized and victimized by a police system that's corrupt.
Let me get a couple of comments.
I can't go poor Diana. I just can't. She lived a good life. She died a tragic death, and I feel sorry for her children and people who knew her and loved her. And that should have not happened to her, but it shouldn't have happened to anybody. It shouldn't have happened to Sandra Bland.
No, I got you on that. I don't disagree. I think that's apples and oranges conversation, but your point is well taken. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. Our sister Deborah Jones is checking us out. I got your comment earlier. I'm just getting to it now. My apologies. She says her great grandmother was black. She forgot who she came from. Shaking my head. Not entirely sure who exactly we're referring to, but it's probably Queen Charlotte.
Elizabeth.
It might be Queen Charlotte.
No, but the whole idea of blue blood means you got black in your
Well,
blood.
Queen Elizabeth
All
is the
of-
one
all
that
of the-
just died. I think she's referring to her
Yeah, she's referring to Queen
great
Elizabeth.
grandmother,
Yeah,
who
could
would have been Queen
Charlotte.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
which is the name of the Queen City, which is why we call it the Queen City in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our brother Ernest Porter says, why are black people expected to be apologetic or criticized for our opinions or feelings? 100% agree with you, which is the reason why I am so direct, blunt, and borderline crass with how I make these points. Simply because when there are things that I may be sensitive towards, no one holds their tongue or their opinion or their rhetoric for me. They just say that shit. So when it comes time for me to say my piece, I spent all of my life and most of my 40s holding my tongue so that I would be pleasant towards other people and relay the message, not quite as direct and blunt. And even on this show, I wouldn't use bad words or none of that kind of stuff. But nobody gives a fuck about how I feel. So why should I be caring? You know what I mean? Like when you talk about the British Royals, about any other topic other than the British Royals, do they care about your feelings? Do they care? Have you ever heard Prince Harry, William, or now King Charles say anything about what's going on in the United States of America where black men and women are murdered in the street by police officers? Prince Harry after he married Meghan. And Prince Harry's always been my favorite. You know why? Because he ain't a real royal. His daddy is the tennis coach. Look at his fire engine red hair. He looked just like his real daddy. Look him up. Look him up. Look him up. Look him up. If you watching and listening right now, you look up who the tennis coach was for Princess Diana was in the 80s. This dude had this dude.
Back to Game of Thrones.
Hold on,
his hair was
finished.
dark.
Hold on, I'm still talking. Hold on. This dude had fire engine red hair, just like his son, Prince Harry. I'm just saying. Am I saying?
Listen, you know what I got to say to all this?
But I'm supposed to care about their feelings.
The queen is dead. Long live the king.
FYF. Do the analogy in your head. I just talked about feelings. FYF. When it comes to feelings. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Dan Legacy. Yeah, I'm on one tonight on this one. You know, because just I don't want to talk about this no more. Anyway, y'all want to move on? Yeah. Let's do that. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. It's still a whole lot that we can get to, but the one thing that I want to get to is a conversation that I'm pretty sure that three of us will be in line with each other. Y'all ready? Look at my shirt, y'all. Look at my hat, y'all. Week 1 of the National Football League has come and gone. The New York Giants have won. The Washington Commanders have won. The Philadelphia Eagles have won.
Yeah.
There's one team left in the division. They didn't win. Yeah.
Cowboys.
Who? Who?
The Caballeros.
Who?
The Cowboys.
Who? You mean the team who lost their quarterback for 8 weeks? You mean that guy? You talking about that team? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
See, I'm gonna tell you something, right? I don't do a lot of the face-to-face shade anymore, just because. I mean, for what? Like my team usually stinks. This is the first year since 2015 that we started with a win.
Yes.
Here you go. Here you go. I see him. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go with the bullshit.
Care,
here you go.
I don't
Here
care.
you come.
I
Go
don't
ahead and
care.
show him, John. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can't tilt it forward. There you go. Tilt it forward. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Boo.
There you go. Clearly, John is brainwashed.
Yes.
We love him. He grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and he roots for the Dallas Cowboys.
Embarrassing.
Not really
Until they
understanding
play the
that.
Giants.
Not really
Embarrassing.
understanding how he has
I'm very
Buffalo, Giants, Jets,
fuck
Eagles,
Buffalo,
New England.
Fuck Buffalo.
All
fuck
of the teams.
Anything above Connecticut. Fuck Buffalo. That's Boston. Right? They're the Patriots. They're the Red Sox.
But you
fuck
root for
all
Dallas.
of them.
You really
you root
don't
for
get to
Dallas.
do that.
You root
Yeah, I
for
do.
Dallas. You root for Dallas.
Unless
you said
they
fuck
play
New
the
England.
Giants.
Hold on,
Then
wait,
I
wait,
root
wait,
for
wait,
the
wait,
Giants.
wait.
Motherfuck New England.
You root for a
Oh,
team
John, come on.
in Texas, and you got the colossal gall to have heat with anybody other than.
Come on now.
Come on, man. Really? That's what we doing? That's what we doing, John? John,
Some people drink the Kool-Aid.
he ain't just drinking Kool-Aid.
Let me tell you
It's
something.
spiked
Let me tell you something.
with something not good.
I watched football yesterday most of the day.
This is so fun.
And the
I love doing
reason
this.
and
Like,
the
I just love
reason I
doing this.
watched football
Yeah.
most of the day yesterday
Why you watch football, John?
is because of the Dallas Cowboys. You
They
know
didn't
why?
come on till 8
Because I
o'clock.
was born. No, but I watch football. I'm not talking about the Dallas Cowboys team that's sucking up the place right now and lost their quarterback. I'm talking about the institution. It made me a football fan. Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett,
Ed Too Tall Jones.
right? Listen, the giant offense that it ran for years. They were playing giant football in Texas. Right?
That's because their head coach came from the New York Giants.
Exactly. That
You want to tell
made
him
me-
who that was? Because I know who that was. You want to tell him who that was?
I ain't gonna talk about it.
John Landry. Tom Landry.
Yeah,
Landry
the great
was a Giant.
Tom Landry. But anyway, my point is that made me
Can you roll
Right?
your eyes at him?
that made me
Okay.
at age 7 fall in love with football. At age 4, I had a full Jet uniform.
That's because that's right around the time when Joe Namath.
Joe Namath, because I had the dimple in my
Broadway
chin.
Joe, baby.
Bro.
I had the
Broadway
long, I
Joe.
had the long hair.
Oh, we're gonna keep dating ourselves.
I had the
Broadway
long hair and the dimple in my chin, and my mother said, "I'm putting you in the whole uniform," and she did.
Well,
But I did not love the game until I saw the O line of the Dallas Cowboys go up, down, one
my goodness.
shift, cut right, and Tony Dorsett come around the left, and man,
You gonna make me say bad words again?
and then the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders had their own
Y'all
show.
lost. We are not doing a whole
Woo,
segment on
woo.
the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Lord, we
Listen,
this is
Dang.
why
I know we're talking about me. We're talking about why,
Okay.
right? Why I'm a
We'll have to
Cowboy.
give. We'll give
Listen,
him that.
Why I'm a Cowboy fan,
'Cause I asked
although
you.
I root for the Giants and
You
all.
cannot.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Cannot.
No.
Yeah. I
No.
root for the Giants.
No.
I
No.
root for the Giants.
No.
But the Dallas Cowboys made me love
No.
football.
Steph, you want this one?
I
I'm gonna let
didn't
you have
know.
it. No,
Listen,
no.
At 7 years old, at
Steph,
8 years old, I did not understand.
because when he's finished, I'm gonna get him.
No, I'm explaining
Or
this
do
to
you
you.
want to get him?
No.
Because he said enough.
I know. This is the last thing. I'm gonna leave it at
I'm gonna
this.
get him. I'm gonna get you.
Until I was 13 years old, I did not truly understand that sports was a substitute for war. So I didn't quite understand the root for the home team. I didn't quite understand that. All I understood was
You get it now.
everything that I saw on TV was Dallas Cowboys, and that's what I fell in love with.
You really.
By the
making
time
this-
I got to 13 and I realized what it was, I was like,
you had a
Okay.
choice, and that's the age when you're supposed to make a choice.
and I made the choice.
You made the wrong one.
I became a Giants
that
fan.
ugly pillow
My-
over there.
No, my
That-
daughter
that
bought me that.
Fire Tinder over there.
My daughter bought me that. Right?
Word,
She did.
word.
And thank you, Star Justice.
You're gonna just say that to me because
She
you know
did.
that's gonna get me to soften, right?
She did.
You
She
know
bought me
it's gonna
that.
get me to soften. Why you had to tell me that?
My daughter
John?
bought me that.
For real. You know what that sounds like? My grandmother gave me that chain.
Whenever listen, listen.
That's what that sounds
listen.
like. Now I,
I
can't
love
punch
that
him in the
I
face.
love that the Giants won. I don't care so much about the Cowboys' loss. I don't root for them like that. Like their wins and losses don't affect me the way the Giants' wins and losses affect
right.
me.
You trying
I'm
to
just saying
you trying to soften my aggression. It's
they're
upsetting me.
$8.5 billion
Because I was ready.
franchise.
I was so
Who
ready.
cares?
They're
Yeah.
America's team. God damn it,
No,
they're
they're
God's
not.
team.
Okay, now I can come from again. You know, because he brought me down. Yeah, you first, Steph.
I don't.
All right, so listen, this America's team thing, miss me with that.
God's
Like,
team.
absolutely miss me with that because it is nonsense. It makes no sense. Nobody thinks that nonsense but y'all, and that's 1 out of 30 teams. Everybody else thinks y'all crazy. everybody else thinks. And I'm gonna say
all the way to the bank.
I'm gonna take the y'all out of it because you say that you're not a Cowboys fan, even though I know
Not like that.
I know
The
you
wins
are.
and losses.
I know you are because you were more excited to show me that. It had
No, I
nothing to
just
do.
did that to cause controversy so we could talk. Really, to be honest with you.
Okay. Anyway, you like the Cowboys. That's a
No,
problem.
no. Listen, I do like the Cowboys. I root for the Giants. That's the difference.
Can we move
The
on?
wins and
Absolutely.
losses,
Something more
the wins
exciting
and
to talk about.
losses of the Cowboys don't affect me.
But you know the
But I
thing
like
is,
the idea that they worth $8.5 billion.
So here's a
Oh,
question.
my
All right, here's a question. Let's
And their
move-
stadium
let's-
is freaking incredible.
I've been to their stadium. I've never in my life been to a more impressive physical man-made structure than being in the Dallas Cowboys
Jerry
football
World.
stadium. And that's a fact. But this conversation right here is for those of us who are not Cowboys fans who get so frustrated with y'all because in your attempt to try to tell us that you root for the Giants, but you're not a Cowboys fan, you hit on all the little points that Cowboys fans hit on that
No,
make
but
us,
they be
that
talking
make us-
about the game,
that
like
make-
about this.
no,
that.
let me
I don't
finish.
talk about their game.
Let me finish, bro. You touched on all the bullshit, like a $5 billion
$8
team,
and a half
$8 million
billion.
Okay,
8.5
see, and
billion
now you
dollars.
co-signing it, so you making the point. That's the first thing. The second thing is this morning, today, after scoring 1, 2, 3 points and losing your quarterback for 8 weeks,
I don't care about that.
they still are aggressively reminding us of
That
how
we will
great
sell
they
out our
are.
stadium
We,
and still
we,
make
we,
more money than
we,
others.
we,
I'm speaking
we,
because you said they are still reminding us.
we.
So I put myself in the they because you are
So you
confronting
put
me.
yourself in the they, but you also root for the New York football. You are a
Yeah,
fraud, John.
I'm not a fraud.
You are a fraud.
I'm not a fraud.
You
at
are a
all.
fraudulent football
'Cause
fan.
listen,
And I can't respect any
if the
any sports fan that roots for two
Dallas,
teams.
if the Dallas,
If you
I'm
root for
not
two
rooting
teams,
for them.
I would have gave you more respect if you only rooted for the Cowboys.
No, I'm not rooting for them.
You pulled
That's where
out
you get it
the
twisted.
whole billboard over there, and
I'm
then
not
with a
rooting
straight
for-
face,
listen,
say, I'm a root for the
If
Giants.
they lose every game this season,
This
that
is
is
cleanup.
not. That is
But
not.
your organic
listen,
statement
Listen,
was when you
I'm
pulled
gonna tell
out.
you. Let me tell you
and you
something.
showed it
Let me
to
tell you
us.
something about the Cowboys.
I'm
Because
listening.
you're a Knicks fan. Let me tell you something about the Cowboys. They're pretty damn similar. Don't nobody care about the wins and losses because the same reason the Knicks are the most valuable team in the NBA is the same thing. It's all about the show.
But here's the difference
It's
between
all
Knicks
about
fans.
the show.
Here's the difference between Knicks fans and Giants fans, right?
Knicks fans are more ready to fight you.
Here's the difference between Knicks. No, that is absolutely not true.
That is true.
Here's the
Cowboys
difference.
talk.
Here's
They
the,
don't-
here's
they
the
don't
difference
fight.
between Knicks fans and Giants fans, right? Knicks fans realize that we haven't won since 1973, and we're usually pretty humble about it. And it's almost like battered person syndrome when you used to getting your ass whooped, and every time somebody comes around and they scratch their brow, and you go like you jumping because
Yeah,
you think they
okay.
about to smack the shit out you.
You true. That's
That's
true.
a Knicks fan.
But I wasn't
Whereas
talking about the fandom. I'm talking about the
Whereas a
franchise.
Cowboys fan, I'm talking about the fans.
Okay.
The Cowboys fans, you got a whole generation of Cowboys fans that are near 30 that's still walking around, never seen a team win a chip, and they talking to you like they're the great. Like I seen you win your 3 chips in the 90s.
Oh, they're brainwashed.
I seen it. And I also seen the last one in 1996, and I seen my team win 2 since then.
Listen, they're brainwashed. Listen, Cowboy Nation is a bunch of psychos. They're brainwashed. They are every time the Cowboys touch
So it's
the
they
football.
now.
Yeah, I'm
A
not
minute
part
ago
of-
was they.
No,
A minute ago was we.
It's
Now
we.
it's they.
It's we when we talking about the upper management and the franchise and the institution.
It's the switch up.
When we talking
The
about
switch up
win-
is what makes you a
when we
fraud.
talk about wins and losses, I have no. Listen, if somebody asked me 2 weeks ago, Cowboys making to the playoffs, no, they don't. They don't have the manpower. They don't. They're not going to do it, and I don't care about that.
I wish
They go.
them-
When are they going to win a Super Bowl? I don't know. I might not be alive to see it because it ain't about that for the Cowboys. Honestly, it's about the show.
Let's do this, right? We spent far too much time talking
Yeah,
about
let's go someplace
the
else.
Cowboys. But let's talk about how the Giants got a new coach and how the decision to go for 2 points at that stage of the game was a decision that we've never appreciated from a Giants coach before, because it's usually not successful. Here's the setup, right? Giants drive, they score a touchdown. The score is 20-19. It's 20-19 with a little over a minute left in the game. The smart thing would be to kick the extra point, tie the game, play defense, and hope to go to overtime. That's what most folks at that moment thought was going to happen. That ain't what happened. What ends up happening is the team never came off of the field, because it's, touchdown, 2-yard line, 2 points. You take 2 points, you take the lead. The team never came off of the field, which struck me as very odd, because we are just not used to seeing that. And I remember thinking in the moment, Steph, if they don't get it, not only am I going to be hot, but this is the coach's first game. This the coach's first game in the first game of the season, and this is who you are. Now, it was one of them things that worked out. We can move this into real life. We can take it out of football. We can move it into real life. If you make a gamble like that, your ass better get it. You better get it. And so they scored a 2-point conversion. They play defense. They win the game. First time since 2015, the Giants go into week 2 with a win.
First time.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm decked out.
Can we please talk a little bit about this government?
I got my Giants socks on. I got my Giants shirt on. I got my Giants hat on. I'm excited. Talk about the government. What you got?
What the whole hell?
Well,
I actually heard Kamala Harris.
Well, let's do the shift.
I ain't heard.
Let's do the shift. Let's do the shift.
She actually did an interview. I heard her speak.
Let's do the shift. They know how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Day Legacy Net Radio. All right. So the final thing we'll get into tonight, we'll talk about the government. You want to talk about Kamala Harris? Let's get it.
I want to talk about, like, what the hell? Like, really? Like, what the whole hell?
More specifically, give us
there's a lot going on.
The impetus of your what the hell. Either of you.
I am beginning.
Because, like you said, there's a lot of places to go.
The lines are so blurred at this point. Party politics is fading. I don't even know who these people are on either side at this point.
Party politics is fading?
Yeah, because it's not even. It's just, you know what it is?
It's been gray our whole life.
No. No.
Like, it's been London gray
exactly
at
what
11
it is.
o'clock on a rainy day.
I'm going to tell you exactly what it is.
Life.
It's the extremes and the ride-alongs. It don't matter. Faded. It don't matter what side of the coin you on, the red or the blue, Crips or Bloods. You either extreme or you ride along. And the extremes on both sides are a bunch of nuts who are prepared to burn the whole shit down around them with foolishness and insanity.
Who's the extremes on the Democratic side? What are they asking for that's extreme? I'm curious. Tell the people.
It's not what they asking for. It's what they not asking for.
Okay, then that's not extreme.
That is extreme because they are promoting. Okay, 80,000 new IRS agents on the job is fucking insane. Period. To me, that's storming the Capitol. They equal to me. Because guess what? One has a lot more effect on my life than the other, to be quite honest with you. So, I mean, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Look over here at this flashy thing. So listen. Trump ain't going to jail. Ain't nobody of any kind of importance who committed treason and all kind of other shit going to serve any kind of any kind of significant time in prison, right? We still haven't done anything. We still supporting Ukraine, which is some evil shit, right? And aside from all that other shit, like we still losing hemorrhaging money. There's still more jobs than people willing to work, and nobody wants to have the conversation about why. The World Health Organization, right, is backpedaling on everything it pushed for the last 2 years. They recalled all vaccines because of over 40,000 unexplained deaths directly related to them, right? And they finally had to come out and admit, nah, this don't cure shit. Because everybody who's vaccinated is still getting COVID. And then nah, it don't cure. So it's not a vaccine. No, they finally had to admit that shit. But again, pay no attention to that because we're gonna shuffle these idiots from the Ozarks around and talk about how they stormed the Capitol, how you let them storm the Capitol.
Did you see the Republican politician who presented the flag to the woman when she walked out of jail? She walked out of jail after serving time for her actions on January 6th.
Right.
And when she got out, I can Google it and give you more specifics, but an elected Republican elected official presented her with a flag when she got out of jail.
Okay. So watch this. What you just said is exactly what I'm talking about, right? There is no place, right, where anyone, okay, you're going to put yourself in a room with a bunch of, I don't know, people who eat people, cannibals, right? You're in a room with a bunch of cannibals, and saving grace is, well, I don't eat people, but these are your friends, your associates, and these are people who you deal with on a regular basis, and all you can say is, well, I don't do that. No, that is no longer acceptable.
No.
All of the politicians are in this shit together. They back each other up with this bullshit. And all it's about is whose agenda can I push forward in order to get this money so I can give it to my friend and it can never go to where it's supposed to go.
Here it is, Steph. Republican Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas presented an honorary American flag recently flown above the United States Capitol to a convicted January 6th rioter after she was released from prison. I'm getting this from cable news network, CNN. Goldberg is obviously, I ain't gonna read that part, I ain't gonna read that part, I ain't gonna read that part, I ain't gonna read that part. I'll read this part. Dr. What's the person's name? Her name is Dr. Simone Gold. Dr. Gold is the definition of what a political prisoner looks like, something I never thought I'd see here in the United States of America. This is what the congressman said. Gold is a well-known COVID-19 conspiracy theorist who was sentenced to 60 days in prison in June for her involvement in the January 6th. You gotta love when they pop up shit when you're trying to read something. She is the founder of America's Frontline Doctors, a group that received national attention for spreading false claims about COVID, pushing unproven treatments like hydroxychloroquine, and later lying about the FDA authorized vaccines. I'm not gonna read no more of that. I think we got enough, Steph. You got an elected congressman who prays. First of all, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care about your resume. If a court decided that you were guilty on January 6th of crimes that are
against the government,
that are in reference to storming the Capitol, you don't get a flag. If you get a flag, it's a flag on the play. It's a different kind of flag. What you got?
You get a flag if you're a part of the GOP. So there used to be a time where no, you didn't get a flag. But the people who have claimed to be the party of law and order, they have claimed to be the moral majority, if you remember that terminology, the religious right, now it is all about the rules for thee, not for me. And so I'm not surprised. Louis Gohmert, I mean, he literally is leaving Congress having passed one law in the entire time he was in there. But he is the author and the carrier of so many falsehoods. And the fact of the matter is, they've already committed to the narrative they're going to commit to. They've already married that lie. They've gone to bed with it, created babies. It's not going away. And so it's one of those things when you go so far in a belief and you now know it's not real, it's not true, but what are you going to do? I feel like that's where a lot of these people are. They know in their heart of hearts, but they've gone so far, they're not going to release it. They would rather keep promoting it. And to me, when you look at the next 60 days, we have the midterms. When you look at how many people are on the ballots that are election deniers, some have been involved with falsification of voting laws and voting records. Others have marched on the Capitol on January 6th, including a gubernatorial candidate. I don't know why we're shocked at anything anymore. All bets are off and everything is on the table. And anytime you're dealing with people who think that their moments of power or privilege is going to be changed by anything equitable, there's no turning back. They are more tied into the fact that you, me, women, anybody having a right or equal rights in a democratically run environment is stealing from them. That's the whole narrative. That's how everybody is. That's how they're working up their base. It's the same. It's not even, I hate to even call it dog whistle. It's so out there. It's the same narrative when no matter what, when people from Mexico started coming here, they're going to steal our jobs that none of us want to do, jobs that many of us don't want to do based on the way those people are treated when they get here. You're not picking oranges. You're not picking strawberries in the middle of Plant City, Florida. You're not picking avocados in California. Stop acting like these people are stealing. It's always about be fearful of the others because they're going to take something from you. Something that they couldn't take if they wanted to. The system is set up the way it is. But once you're aligned and everybody is aligned in a spirit of fear and the idea that someone else doing better means I have to be doing worse, there's no turning back. This is going to get worse before it gets better.
Hey, John, they talking about stealing something that didn't belong to them to begin with. How about that?
So, no, how about this?
How about that?
This is it for me, right? And this is really it for me. You cannot tell me that you are opposed to a thing on camera, and when the cameras is off, you go sit down and share a meal and have a drink with the person who's promoting it. You can't. I can't do it. I can't rock anybody who I had friends who I had known for years who were Trump supporters, who I told them we are no longer friends. If you but it's political and it's, I says, listen, come on, I had my Republican voting card before you, so don't tell me about it's political. This man is a hate monger. He is disgusting. And if anything, and when I knew it was a wrap, when those men marched down the street a few hundred miles from here in Charlottesville and said the Jews will not replace us, right? And the JDL didn't burn the place down and let that man stay in office and supported him when he said it was good people on both sides. How could it possibly be good people on both sides when the other side was shouting Jews will not replace us? Come on, my Jew people. For real.
Come on, my everybody.
No, but no, listen. Here's my point, right? Here's my point. You could not wear a Malcolm X hat when the movie was out without a Jewish person telling you was anti-Semitic. But they're gonna support this man who supports a group of people who say the Jews will not replace us with choice and not and swat stickers on their shoulders
And torches.
and torches.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you are gonna stand up.
Manufactured fear.
You are gonna
Yeah.
stand up, Mitch McConnell, and support this man who had his thugs going there and was prepared to beat up, murder, and do whatever to whoever they could get their hands on there, including your dumbass. Right? But you, President Biden, if Mitch McConnell say, Joe, meet me at the cabin and bring the doctor, and you guys come and we'll talk and we'll sip a little cognac and he's with it. He's in there, and he listen, if you're not ready to speak truth to power, don't sell me your bullshit. I don't believe you anymore. That's it. The lines have been drawn. Every single individual who has anything remotely to do with Donald Trump and his agenda is a racist piece of shit motherfucker. And anybody who will not stand up and call them out, you are too. That's it. And that includes Biden and anybody who fucks with him. That includes any and every single body. They've been selling us this bullshit for as long as I've been alive, and people are still buying it. You think these people give a fuck about any of us? It's their game. It's rigged for them. And you know what they doing? Spending our money. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Don't sell me none of that shit.
I can't argue with anything that you just said. You know, we often find ourselves in a space where we hold our tongues because we want to be nice. We want to be inclusive. We want to make it so that everyone can benefit. But the reality is what you just said is spot on. Like, and we've been saying this all through the time where Donald Trump has had national prominence, because those of us who grew up in the tri-state, we knew what he was doing and what he was capable of long before he made it to the national spotlight. And it's so much bigger than him. Like, for me, it's bigger than him in the sense that growing up in New Jersey and living in the South for my entire adult life has formulated a different kind of feeling with me. When I look at my elders who would come here to Virginia and see Confederate flags and be shocked at seeing them, like, they let them fly them here. Like, this is how many of us in the North thought. Like, y'all from the North, you have your own opinions, but where I came from and who I came from, you know, that is the thought process. Like, yeah, we got racism, but like, they let them fly that flag. Like, yes, we live in the capital of the Confederacy here in Richmond, Virginia, where they have racism trophies that when the block got hot, they got mad at us for saying, fuck your trophies. And they got mad at city officials who aided in pulling them down and all of those kinds of things. And these are people who will tell you that, you know, I support his policies, but I don't support him. You know, it's like you see, you know, middle-aged white woman, when he says grab him by the pussy, that should have been the deal breaker. It should have been the deal breaker when he made fun of the handicapped person. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of things that should have been the deal breaker that were not the deal breaker for him in the name of politics. It's because he's a Republican and you're a Republican and you're going to support him red blind no matter what. And I'm no longer interested in curbing my language. I'm no longer interested in keeping to myself. I'm no longer interested in being soft in how I speak, being cautious and coursing my language in a way that is non-offensive, because the mere fact that you allowed this man to not only be elected president, but to change the course of American history and allow normal punk ass racists to be fist in the air, chest out racist on the strength of him saying whatever it was he was saying, not okay with it no more. I'm not going to allow myself to be emotionally invested in a way that I used to be mad about it, because I know what it is in this country. And you nailed it, John. Your entire life. You was born in 1968, the same year that Martin Luther King was assassinated, the same year that Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, 2 months apart from each other, months after you were born. You touched down in January. So you were on the ground when both of them were alive. And I don't know what you were taught or what you learned in your lifetime. I can imagine. And what I will say on it, and I'll say the last word before we move on. We got to get to the end of the show. But in 54 years of your life, the last 54 years of American history, America has decided that racism was okay. It changed its face. Let me say it a little bit more personally. We change our draws every day, but we still the same people. So unless we change who we are, clean or dirty drawers ain't gonna matter. And America is wearing dirty drawers. America has worn dirty drawers. And Americans are looking at other Americans with shade, because there are a lot of us who look at the passing of the British monarch and we roll our eyes because it's more of the same. You don't respect us, and it's high time that we stop respecting you. And you know how Steppin Marcus, I almost said that's the word. And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and Radio. We'll each have more to say in our individual rants and our individual closings. We already did a moment in Black history. We got that out of the way. Tonight was the rare night that I put out the missing children prior to us going live on the show. So they've already been in social media. I'm going to read 2. I originally had 3. Someone reached out to me after I had already put them out and said, this person's not missing, take it down. That's a good thing for me, because it was the second time I would have profiled this person. It means that sometime between the first time and tonight, this person is home. I was not given the information on this person having a tragic end. I was given information on this person is not missing. So that is a victory. And I will share that with John. I will share that with Steph, and I will share that with y'all. Won't get into who the name is, because I got the impression that we didn't need to be getting into who that was, and that's fine. It's more about the mission. 11 years of internet radio that we've done in various incarnations here, with regards to me and being participating with others. 11 years I've been profiling missing children, and it's a very, very rare thing where someone reaches out to me and lets me know that we've had a positive result. Not that it had anything to do with us profiling, but it has everything to do with the child being home. And that's what's key, and that's what's most important. So I'm happy about that. And you know, hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and Radio. All right. So tonight we are looking for Sean Jackson. Sean Jackson is a Black male. He's 17. He's been missing since August 7th. Excuse me, August 2nd. August 2nd. He's a Black male. He stands 5'3", weighs 120 pounds. He's listed as an endangered missing. He was last seen on 8/2. He may be in the area of German School Road here in Richmond. He's an endangered missing due to mental and or physical health and he may be in the need of medical attention. If you've seen Sean Jackson, y'all, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. We're also looking tonight for Kamaria Smith Jackson. This won't be the first time we've looked for her before. We're still looking for her. As long as we see these missing posters, we're going to profile them if they seem to be localized here, because we want to look for our missing, and we want to encourage other folks in other areas to do the same. That's why we're looking for Kamaria Smith Jackson. She's been missing since August 10th from here in Richmond, Virginia. She's a 15-year-old black female. She's 5'3", weighs 160 pounds. She's got a small scar on her right cheek under her eye. If you've seen Kamaria Smith Jackson, please contact the Richmond Police Department at 804-646-5100. So let's recap. We're looking for Sean Jackson out of North Chesterfield. We're looking for Kamaria Smith Jackson out of Richmond. If you've seen either of them, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Let's find our babies. Let's find our missing. We're always looking for our sister Keisha, I'm sorry, Keisha Jacobs. We're always looking for her. She's someone that I want to say her name every single time I have a mic. She's missing from here in Richmond, Virginia. It's been several years. Miss Tony, her mom, deserves to know what happened to her baby. So as I gave the number for the others, I'll give the number for her. The number, if you have seen Keisha Jacobs, is 800-843-5678. That is the phone number for the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children. And absolutely, they will take phone calls on missing adults. And you know how Steph Marcus J Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. It is about that time for us to shift to the final stage of our show, where we rant and where we close. This is the part of the show where we speak our minds. Maybe it is related to the topics that we did tonight. Maybe it is something that is completely different from the topics that we did tonight. But it is the time of the show where we get to speak uninterrupted on whatever it is in our spirit. John gets to go first, and it's an honor for me to introduce him to share his thoughts first. Steph will follow. I will close. John, it is your time. This is where I say nice shit about you. You want to hear something nice? I appreciate you, man. You know what I appreciate about you that I learned from you? Unapologetically being in your space and saying what's on your mind. You are consistent. Consistency is key, because this is how you know you got to rock, man. You a rock. You a rock to everybody who rocks with you. And I appreciate that about you. And I hope they do too. But even if they don't, I do. Feel that from your brother, man. I appreciate you. Time for you to take us home, my man. What you got?
Ditto.
My
You
man.
often, your favorite, one of your more favorite phrases is same energy. Right? And with me on a personal level, I think I take it for granted because that's all I know. Right? And I would rather be proven wrong about anything than right. Because I'm already think I'm right. I really want somebody to prove me wrong. Because what that is now is I've been given an opportunity to learn something. Last time we were on the air, we spoke about the young woman and the volleyball thing and so on and so forth. And I brought that topic up in an open online discussion. And somebody says that was a false thing. Come to find out that it didn't happen or could not be substantiated significantly about what happened. I didn't challenge the person on it. What I said was I didn't know that. I said, you know what? I'll look into it. But if that's the case, thank you for telling me. Right? I didn't say, oh, they only saying that because of that, whatever. So that's what I live for. And thank you, Marcus, for those words. This country is its own thing. This nation is another thing altogether. What we are most often deceived by and unjustifiably concerned with is the corporation, the entity that has a president and vice president. That's a corporation. That's not a nation. Nations don't have those. They have ministers or monarchs. Corporations have presidents and vice presidents. It's a structure. It's a contract. We are overly concerned with the contract. And the contract that is still standing is based upon evil ideology. And no matter how, it's like quicksand. The more we struggle, the deeper we go. And this is why I often have told people, as long as I've been on this show with you, Marcus, 2-3 years now, shut up. Don't talk about it, be about it. Right? Go ahead and get whatever it is you need to get for yourself and your family and be quiet about it. Right? Because your bragging is not helping anybody. Let your actions be your example. And trust me, person told me this when I was 8 years old, right? The person yelling will not be heard, but the person who whispers shall be heard, right? Quiet it down, folks. Let's just get it done quietly, individually, right? The whole idea that black people don't stick together and we got to do this and we got to do that. Listen, stop it. You're buying into the bullshit. What black people? We're humans. We're human beings. There's more diversity on the continent of Africa in people than it is in the rest of the world combined. Right? Our DNAs and our cultures and all that stuff is all mixed up and different. There is no black people, just like there is no white people. And that's the problem. The people who acknowledge the fact that they're white, they're racist pieces of shit. We're humans. Stop buying into the bullshit. Get your own life together, right? Go get you some whole life insurance. Set yourself up a trust and 2 or 3 LLCs. Get your money out the 401k. I know that the job is matching, but the market is dying. Buy you a policy that's guaranteed money that you can borrow against the death benefit tax free. Get you an immediate death benefit that goes to cover your expenses when you die. Matter of fact, Stop spending all that money. You gone. You gone. Keep it simple. Right? Let them say a few words and get together and do whatever they do. But don't be spending no 10, 15, $20,000. For what? Take that money, create a trust, create a foundation like the Rockefellers did off of life insurance, so that hopefully your great great grandchildren will not have to think about money. Because there's a foundation that whatever they want to do, they can go to the foundation and say, hey, I want to do this. And the foundation to cut them a check. Right? It's not difficult in action. The difficulty comes from inaction, from not doing anything. This is what makes it hard. Just do it. Just do it. It's easy. Get it done. Take a little time. So what you might spend, I don't know, $2,500 getting all the entities together and getting bank accounts and making sure everything is titled correctly and getting yourself an accountant who helps you organize your monies and your function. And you say, oh, I'm a bus driver. I only make $40,000 a year. I can't afford no accountant. No, silly. You can't afford not to have an accountant because you don't know what money is. You know what put your signal on and the next stop is, but you don't know nothing about money. That's why people go to school and get degrees to learn about money. Get you an accountant, figure out what's going on in your life. Right? Put it together. And we can slowly but surely get out of this bullshit. Stop buying into it. The more you buy into it, the more energy you give it. You keep it running with your, and like the Matrix, you the battery. They running off your energy, your acknowledgement of it. Leave the room, walk away. Don't acknowledge it. Don't acknowledge it. Just get yours and enjoy your life. Live a little. Live a little. Because if all you doing is working and suffering, then you're not living, you dying. They say you only live once. No, you only die once. You get to live every day. Every day you get up is a do-over. But that death ain't no do-over. So stop dying every day. Start living every day. Get your shit together. And peace to you and everybody in your family, whoever you are. That's my rant.
Ain't no has Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Shout out to On the Mic with Mike. Says outstanding content. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. We appreciate that salutation. Thank you. On the Mic with Mike. We appreciate you. Ain't no Hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. It's always a grand time when I get an opportunity to introduce the closing of this show from our sister Steph. And, it's cool, man. Like I said to you earlier, like it's always so cool when you come in, because it's like, Steph's here. You know what I mean? Like we get here, John and me, we hang out, we do the God thing. I usually get here a good chunk of time before you get here. And sometimes we spend time with one another, and sometimes he's in his space and I'm in mine. Tonight was one of those nights, and he came up not long before you got here, and we were talking a little bit about what we're going to talk about, and then we made the drinks, and then I heard the door, and so I had to play like I didn't hear the door. Yeah, I could say something that I know you hear me say, but act like I didn't hear you coming up the stairs. That's just us being silly, like the games we play with our friends and our family and our sisters and our brothers and stuff. But it's just cool, man. I just really enjoy how you have this way of balancing he and I, and we're both just so very fond of you, and just we enjoy you so much, and you just make it really cool for us to kind of do what it is what we do. And the thing about you that I enjoy the most, or kind of a lot, is like you just kind of have a way of saying things that even if we don't agree with it, it's gonna make sense. Like you're gonna be sound. You know what I mean? You're gonna be sound. And so if you disagree, you gotta come correct. And I appreciate that because that's how I am. Like you ain't gonna say no stuff to me and think you're gonna get away with it. And when John mentioned same energy earlier, like same energy is a real thing for me in every walk of my life. Like I'm at a stage now where I'm trying to purge the folks in my life that don't reply with the energy that I give. It's not always easy because old habits die hard, you know, but one thing that I can say about you is your energy with me has always been spot on, reciprocal. I really hope you feel the same because I'm very fond of the relationship that you and I have built and the relationship that you and I and John have built because it is pure, it is wholesome, it is necessary, and it is very, very, most importantly, validating because it reminds me that we can love people unconditionally and hard stop it right there. And we do that. And because of that, I really, really rocks with you. So thank you for being our sister. Thank you for just being you. And this is where you say whatever it is you got to say for as long as it takes for you to say it.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you both and your perspectives. And like you said, we don't always have to agree, but your perspectives are always maybe
No.
not. Sorry about that. you think I
Thank you.
haven't done this before? Thanks, John. Yeah, I'm gonna say I appreciate you both.
Was yours one?
And
Okay.
I appreciate what you both bring to the table. And like you said, we don't always have to agree. Some things we're not going to agree on, but I can always say that it is well formulated. And I know it comes from a space of being well thought out. And, it's edifying and it's nice to be around people who challenge you to think differently and consider another perspective. Because like John was saying, I mean, it is better to be proven wrong, right? You already believe what you're saying. And that was a really, really dope statement because it's absolutely true. So what I'm going to briefly say, because I'm tired, is I have been, last week on the Hustlers Hive. Check it out every Friday, 3 p.m. on 105.3. Thank you, thank you, thank you. feel like Angela Yee, except I didn't have to go. I could stay. Y'all ain't kicking me out. You want your own shit? You gotta go. No, y'all let me stay. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, no, we should talk about it. But and so I was talking about on the Hustlers Hub last week about Jay-Z and everybody feeling that he is propping up a capitalistic environment and capitalism in general. And so I spend a lot of my time coaching entrepreneurs and working with them on developing their businesses so that they actually are making money. Because the average Black entrepreneur is not making money. As a matter of fact, the average woman-owned business, and this is any woman, is making on average $142,000 a year. That is the profit. That's the revenue. It's not even a profit. And Black women are averaging $24,000. So we're leaving corporate America. We're going to work for ourselves, so to speak, and we're driving ourselves into the ground because we're not even able to provide for ourselves the way corporate America would have done. You might as well have just stayed there and enjoy getting your vacations and your 15 your guaranteed vacation and time off, your guarantee, your 401k, your medical. I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship and business ownership is not for everybody. And we, our people, we tend to collectively look at an area in which we're having issues and say it's all or nothing. So, corporate America isn't treating me well. I'm done with corporate America. The only other thing I could do is go and work for myself. I'm not prepared. I haven't done the education. I don't understand the sales statistics. I might understand a little bit about marketing because, everybody thinks they're a marketer now, but sales, they don't understand. And sales is what drives revenue. As a matter of fact, if you learn how to sell something, you can then pay for the marketing. But most people are paying for the marketing and then trying to sell. It's not the way it's supposed to work. You can take it from me. I've been in the sales game since I was 18. Now, why am I bringing that up? So many of us are running into self-employment, entrepreneurship. We're running there because we think we're going to have a better experience, and then we go into no days off mode, which is not a better experience because corporate America gave you days off. So that's not a better experience and more money, if you look at what the averages are. And by the way, you can see that report every year. American Express, in conjunction with some of the financial institutions, does a really thorough, in-depth report. I read it every year, cover to cover, for Black women in business or for women in business in general. And the statistics don't really get that much better, especially when you consider the average male entrepreneur. Their business is bringing anywhere from $400,000 to $732,000. So the statistics don't lie. The problem that I have is when Jay-Z came out and spoke about capitalism, there's this thing where we want to be the new blacks and we're immediately mad at him because he's boasting. And I said rightfully on my show, he is rightfully boasting about generating other billionaires in his space. Now, is capitalism an unflawed system? No, but you clearly like it if you're making a decision that you want to go be self-employed, because what you typically are complaining about is capital, and capital isn't just money. A capitalistic system is more than just money. It's the time that generates that money. People like Jay-Z and all those, they don't have to work as long and hard as the rest of us. It is the money that's coming into the system. It's the connection to the resources and the money that is that he's tapping into in order to create $1 billion. It's all of those things. And to be annoyed or bothered with him that he is talking about his financial success makes me then say, well, what do we want? What is it that we actually want? Do we want to make money? Do we want to be successful? If we do, someone else making money and being successful, especially making the kind of money that the average individual is never going to put their hands on. If we do want to be successful independently, focus on your own actions. Focus on your own actions so you can accomplish things. We are a community that is sorely lacking in financial education, and we're sorely lacking in financial resource. And then we are sorely lacking in a mindset that allows for those resources and the education to flourish and to create additional revenue. We're lacking. And so often we come from a space of low education when we're making these statements about capitalism and so on. Black Wall Street was the picture of capitalism. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. Those people just understand funding one another. Those people understood becoming consumers of each other's businesses. The reason that capitalism doesn't always work for us is the age old statement that never really changes. The time frames change a little bit, but it's because we take our capital outside of our community the minute we get it. Cash your check, spend your check, and rarely spend your check with the people who look like you or who might be living in your community or who are going to invest in people who look like you and feed people who look like you. So at the end of the day, I got to give Jay-Z props, no matter where his money began and what he's had to tap into to get it, because he's spending his money with people who look like him. And that is much more relevant than what most of us are doing. Just about 95 to 97% of what we purchase, being one of the largest consumer audiences. Black people are one of the largest consumer audiences. At one time, we were the largest. The poorest people, the largest consumers. Why is it problematic if we are consuming within our own grouping? I will tell you, after years in corporate America and being the only one in the room, or the only one that's the chief sales officer, or the sales manager, or whatever the role was, I was typically the only woman and typically the only Black person. And I often got to see how the men in the room, who were the quote unquote powers that be, learn how to generate money amongst themselves, even if that meant bringing in their young children to work in the business so they don't have to employ you, so they don't have to pour into your home or your community. They wanted to see it cycle through within their own communities. And, Jay-Z's billionaire level, but he had to be thinking this about the Kanyes and the Rihannas, whoever was going to filter through. He tried it with Beanies. He tried it with Beanie Siegel. It didn't work out, and it didn't work out because of Beanie Siegel. But this man is investing. We may not like how it always looks. I may do business with Marcus and not with John, or vice versa. It doesn't mean you're going to do business with everyone. But what it does mean is that in order to have money, in order to see money reflected within our community, we're going to have to get comfortable seeing people with money. We're going to have to get comfortable seeing our neighbors thrive. We're going to have to get comfortable purchasing from our sisters and brothers who are running businesses. We're going to have to be comfortable not bad-mouthing the small restaurateur that's trying to make it when the economy is struggling. You give Applebee's a whole lot of passes, or whoever you're going to. I'm sure you can do the same for the small family-owned restaurant in your community, rather than hitting Facebook or wherever you are to immediately tear them down. I don't have to agree 100% with you to rock with you in a lot of ways. And I'm talking about when it comes to financial investment within the community. We truly have to make a decision that at some point we are comfortable seeing each other do well, so that we can all do well. It's just not going to happen any other way. I don't know how it could possibly happen if every time a milestone is hit by someone who looks like you got to run and do a think piece on why this is capitalism and this and that and the other. Listen, that's what money drives. Money is capital. Money drives a capitalistic society. Do we like everything that happens? Do we like capital driven from certain places? No. We know that, the NRA is a capitalistic organization and we have our feelings about it. But I bet they won't go under because there are people connected to them that are always going to see them through. We cannot get to the space we want to get to if seeing other people do well immediately triggers jealousy, anger, or a feeling that they don't deserve to do well. I know for a fact that no one gave Jay-Z $1 billion. I know for a fact that no one gave LeBron $1 billion, not in an entitlement, a bequeathment, an insurance policy, none of that. This is all hard work and effort. And this is the fact of the matter. If corporate America would make you a millionaire, most of you would stay in it. The reason you're leaving, the reason you're seeking something new, looking for new jobs, trying to start businesses, whatever it is, most of it is driven from feeling and finance. Now we're watching someone drive finance, drive revenue, drive capital, be able to do something more. And our feelings are getting in the way of us wanting to be okay with that. I'm not saying you got to buy everything he puts out. But what I am saying is if you have that feeling about the Jay-Z's of the world, because there's only 9 Black billionaires. If you have that feeling about the Jay-Z, I know you're going to have the feeling about Javon next door. I know you are. Because proximity breeds contempt. So if he's right next door to you making money, I mean, we have a young hip hop artist was killed tonight, 30 years old, P&B Rock, out in LA. That is driven from jealousy, from enmity. They came to rob this man. You have to understand that the only way our community is going to make an about face where we're not sitting around talking about what them folk are doing, because I promise you, in all the boardrooms I've sat in and all the boards I've been allowed to be a part of, and I'm saying it allowed because when I look around and see it's only me, I know they're allowing it. Yes, what I bring to the table is relevant, but I recognize that this is someone allowing me to be in the room. And my job when I'm in there is to see how I can get you in. But if you're going to be mad because I'm there, how can I make space for you? If you're mad that Jay-Z did it, how would he have made space for Kanye, for Rihanna? How would he have done it? And as he said, adjacently, LeBron. The love, they say the love of money is the root of all evil. But what I would say is jealousy for our community is the root of all evil. It is the thing that is tearing us apart, that is disintegrating our need to rise and disintegrating our opportunities right before our very eyes. So I challenge you now, don't worry about, buying Small Business Week and this, that, and the other. Buy from people who are going to likely be able to put more business opportunities, more job opportunities, more education in your community. Buy from them. Don't worry about the fact that buying their product is going to help them get a new car. That's not your business. You never know how that money cycles back. And that's my rant.
Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Air Radio. Shout out to our brother Kev Crosley. He says, greetings all. Always sending love to the crew. I'm out on a 18-day tour. VUU proud. My brother. I appreciate that, man. I love it when you check in. I just love it when you check in, man. VUU connection and the fact that you take the youth to HBCUs to experience what you experienced, what I experienced, to experience what could be the most pivotal, am I saying that right? Pivotal next stage of their lives where they don't know. I remember in 1991, I did a couple of tours. One to Atlanta with my mom and me. We went to Morehouse and Spelman and Clark, Atlanta. And I remember also in 1991 with my mom and my brother Damon, who I referenced regularly and earlier today. We came to Virginia Union University and we went to Hampton University and we went to do these tours. And it's a stage in their lives, Kev, that they will remember for the rest of their lives. And I did these tours when I was a teenager, and over 30 years later, I still remember them. And these young people are going to remember these trips, and they're going to remember that you were the one that took them on these trips. So receive your flowers, bro, because you are doing a grand thing, and our children need you. And the fact that you recognize it and you do it, you deserve all of the kudos in the world. Much love to you, bro, your family and your team. I rocks with you. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so this is the time where I get to rant and close. And usually, well, I won't say usually, but often I've been somewhat mild. I'm gonna be grumpy tonight. It's the space that I'm in. I'm gonna start off with a goal that we have accomplished that we didn't even realize we had. Then I'm gonna be real grumpy, right? So last week, September 6th was an anniversary of sorts. On September 6, 2011, Marcus J, Carlton Banks, and Jay Grizzy and Tim Casey, who checked in earlier, launched the original Green Room. So last week on Tuesday was the official 11-year anniversary of yours truly in the original crew doing any type of internet radio. And I'm proud of that, y'all. I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of Jay Grizzy and I'm proud of Carlton Banks and I'm proud of Tim Casey. And I'm proud of myself, because none of us really knew what we was doing. Like I was the only one that was educationally trained, but it didn't matter to what we were doing. Didn't matter. I went to college 15 years ago and learned about some stuff because I didn't use none of it when we went in there to do the green room, you know. And it was a really cool thing, and I'm just so happy about it because it has given me so much joy and prosperity and opportunity and platform, all of those things over the last 11 years. When I think about the people who have come in this room, not specifically this one, but the prior Den and the original Den and now new Den, and just when I turn on the television and I look at the news and I see people who I have interacted with in this capacity, or if I go to my watering hole or others, if I'm hanging out with mama and somebody comes up to me and they talk to me and they're like, hey man, thank you. And it's a blessing when I think about, somebody like Apple Brown Betty, who the first time I met her, I sat down in the room with her and I told her, you are a rock star. You're a rock star and you're going to be great. And I told her that to her face. And she was very thankful. Y'all know her. She's been in this room. She's been in New Den, and she did her show, the Drunk Auntie show, right here on Legacy and that radio for a couple years. And time and situations caused her to move on. And I was happy and proud to see her do great things. She ended up being a stand-up comic and doing wonderful things. And in November, her journey culminates with her appearance at the Apollo Theater. She gonna be at the Apollo Theater, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a blessing. I remember, in 2015 when AJ Brewer quit his job in corporate America. First day he quit was the day he did his first show here on Legacy Internet Radio. And I remember him being grumpy as hell, and I was grumpy, and we fussed at each other. But over that time, we developed a relationship. And who knew what Brewers Cafe would be at that day, at that time? And it's become a big thing here locally and beyond. And I think about Jody Smith. Every time I would see her or talk to her, and I would tell her, "You are a star. You're a singer and producer and all of these great things." And we promoted shows for her, and she has taken what we've done and what she's done to the next level. And I'm so proud of her and the things that she's done. And I think about, the career cheerleader, Cara Presley, and how, we started here with Three Wise Queens. And the first time I had an opportunity to be with her when she started the Richmond uh, Red Table Talk group. And the first time I spent any time with her and Three Wise Queens, we had an opportunity to sit down, and we were supposed to be on Red Table Talk, and it didn't work out. But we ended up getting a chance to talk to Jada, and it was wonderful. It was great. And now I look at the career cheerleader, and she has her own podcast through the Red Table Talk network. It's like, man, it's like a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing when I think about the alumni and the people who have come through here. Like comedian Michael Bam Bam White, who had a show here with us here on Legacy Internet Radio. And I think about, you mentioned Big Bro Joe, and I think about, Ashley Joy, with Very Ashley, the store that she has created. It's a very, very humbling thing for me and for the people here at Legacy Internet Radio. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. And it's a wonderful thing. And it's something that I know the work that we've done. I know the work that the people who've come through here have done. And it is a source of great pride. And I'm always going to shout out the names. I can't call them all out because it's too many to name. And if you have been with us for the last 11 years, then you know who they are. You know, John is reminding me to shout out Mr. LP Steven Sykes of Enliven Radio. I spoke with Steven today. I spoke with him today. You know, Big Bro Joe I speak with all the time. You know, it's a wonderful thing. And I'm proud of it. But one thing that I will say, here's where I shift. You know, I could talk about the pride, and I could talk about all of the things that we've done and the wonderful people who have come through here. But one thing that does kind of upset me is those who try to piggyback on the work that we've done, and maybe they haven't done their own work. I'm speaking to the people that like to tag you and stuff, inbox you and stuff, include you in their own universe while never acknowledging the work that you've done. If you are one of those people, and I'm going to say this very clearly, if you are one of those people who claims that you love and support Marcus J and John and Steph and Ain't No Half Step on Marcus J and Legacy and all the radio, Legacy Internet Radio, all the things that, you know, we have done as a group and as a crew, same energy. We talked about same energy earlier in the show. Same energy. Quit tagging me in your shit. Quit inboxing me your shit. If you ain't never forwarded, shared, or done anything to help promote what it is that we have done. I said a lot of really kind things a few minutes ago, and I meant it all. And there are many people whose names that I just didn't mention, mostly because I didn't think of it in the moment, and others because simply in the interest of time, I didn't get around to it. But y'all know who y'all are. Quit piggybacking on other people's work, because I'm a benevolent dude. I'm somebody that's going to always want to see you do well. And I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that I want you to do well, because that's the energy that I promote. But I'm also a Gemini, and I struggle sometimes with peace and love, Marcus J, with the other side of me. Because, you know, I got the amaranth and the rose quartz on this side of me, right? But on the other side of me, I got that red jasper that's all about the passion. And sometimes I get frustrated. I don't always say it, but I get frustrated with people who try to piggyback on what it is that we're doing. Quit tagging me in your shit. Long, awkward pause for effect. Quit tagging me in your shit. Quit inboxing me in your shit. If you have never once supported me, supported John, supported Steph, supported anybody who came through here, do your work. Do your work. We've done our work, and we will help you through doing your work. But what we ain't going to do is be the conduit to your success when you have done nothing to earn it other than piggyback on other folks' shit. So, having said all of that, I'm going to move on. That's the Murr. Marcus's unrelated rant that had everything to do with what we're talking about tonight, because I'm talking about our 11-year anniversary. I'm celebrating the alumni who have come through and have moved on and have done great things. And I'm throwing a colossal amount of shade towards those who try to piggyback. You know who you are? I know who you are. I'm deleting your shit. Ain't No Half Step on Marcus J, which is live from New Den of Legacy and Radio. And we're very, very happy to move on towards the end of the show. I want to remind everybody Independence is the key to building your legacy. It will always be the key to building your legacy. Independence. Understand what that means. Independence. That means do your own work, and we will help you. I want to remind everybody, I already said that part. I want to say peace to all the stars and all the squares. And the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Celebrating 11 years. Authenticity has no competition. Be well, give grace, have peace. We back next week, y'all. Holla at your boy, holla at your boy, holla at your sister.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin', that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.